Night Rising brought to you by Wisdom. Khroen here, along with Boopasaurus to bring you some set 6.5 action now that it is live and we're all playing it. We're all grinding leaderboards, having a lot of fun. Boop, how are you doing? How have you been having fun with set 6.5?
I've been having a ton of fun. I've been able to play a good amount of games over the last couple days, and I've been able to try a bunch of different things. Been having a good time with Hex Text, like I think a lot of other people have so far. But I'm curious. This is like the first competitive patch so far on live for the new set. So we're not talking about PvE anymore. This is live. This is the real deal, and we've got 16 players to try to bring in set 6.5 for us.
Exactly, it is the real deal, and 16 real players trying to all vie for victory. They're real players, not AI, not yet. We don't have that tech, but in Lobby A, we got Banana in Pajama, aka Clave from last week, who this is their third week in a row now, so let's see if they can dodge that 3-week curse. Bradini, Infernix, Miguel Arcjo, Milala, Pikachu, Purple Pouring, and Kupo TFT. We also got Lobby B, Boop.
Yeah, we've got XI, we've got Draconic Venom, Drizzlessy, Drools, Hail Cranberry, HD Voices, QB Knight, and a Poison Ender. Some recognizable names on both sides of the lobbies today, Khroen.
Yeah, definitely. Infernix is a name that really stands out to me. They did very well. I think it was a few months back here in some Fight Night Risings. QB Knight as well, Voices, names that we recognize. So I'm going to be expecting them to come out here and hopefully, show why they are returning players, show why they've had success in the past. And that success, we'll get them a piece of that prize pool. That is right. We have the Rising prize pool with a lot of money on the line, $150 for first place. Second place gets $75. Third place gets $50. Fourth place gets $25. And the top 4 challengers at the end will return for next week's competition, Boop. And I mean, we know that we have some fantastic players from last week, some fantastic players from the past, like Infernix, but it really comes down to how they're approaching this new set, right? It is now live. Players have not gotten a lot of chances to play, maybe just like a day, since it has been out, maybe a day and a half, depending on what region you're in, or if you play like Oshi servers really quickly or something like that. But there's a lot of new changes that came through, a lot of nerfs, things that were strong last week, like Ari did actually get a slight buff, but also Morgana, which is part of that composition, got a big nerf. We do expect to see Hextech and Innovators, but what else maybe do you expect to see?
I think we're going to see Ari again. I think that there's going to be an uncontested comp in almost every lobby, right?
Yeah.
So in the previous sets, that was Blade Masters. In this set right now, I think it's the AP direction with the Ari. It was super popular last week when the comp was worse, maybe, than it would be this week, because Morgana got hit real hard with that nerf bat. So we'll see what happens. But I do think Ari is going to be a direction that a lot of people might go. Say, if you don't have the items that you initially want, say you start with a tier, right? All of a sudden, the Ari becomes a little bit more attractive.
Yeah, kind of depends on what you hit. I think if you have AP items, right, you can go a few different directions. That could be the Innovators, build your Seraphine. Could be that Bruiser Renata strategy as well. You build your Renata, build your Vi as well. She's, very good carry, but it could still go the Ari direction depending on what your opener is, what units you hit. Because, I mean, if you're rolling down at a level 7 level 8 transition point, you hit a few Aris, you hit a Braum maybe, you're like, oh, hit some Morganas. You're like, okay, Syndicates, here we go. Could come down to your augments as well. Very real possibility, I think. But my real wonder is, how are the compositions like, Sivir, Jhin, Irelia, these 80 compositions really going to fit into this meta that's dominated by, I guess, Sivir is the Hex tech, but like Jhin and Irelia, like what is their role going to be? Can they really come up and shine in this meta? I think it still remains to be seen where the meta will settle.
So I think there is a little bit more CC in this particular set, which I think when you think of a unit that gets hurt by CC, the first one that might come to mind is Jhin.
Yep.
Right? And I think Jhin has had a little bit of a hard time. You usually would run it with something like the Colossus, right? There was like the Galio Jhin version. You could do Jhinnovators as well, but it's actually funny. Twitch is the one that's popped in to that Innovator composition, which we got to see last week, which is interesting. But I think Jhin is still kind of finding his place in the meta, which is interesting because he was kind of in the same place last set for a little bit of time. So we'll see what happens. I think we saw Jhin 3 got 5th last week too. So how it fits into these compositions, the snipers can be a little slow rolling. There's a lot of CC. There's a good amount of damage and backline access and positioning situations that just make Jhin, one, harder to play, and two, maybe not as fruitful as some other endeavors that you might take.
Exactly. I think you say CC, backline access, Zyra. She fits all those categories. Zyra's pretty good unit. But let's go ahead and get into game number 1 here at Fight Night Rising. Quick reminder, we will, be running with this new format that we've had the past few weeks. 5 games total, 2 lobbies going. So there's just 3 games that these players have to advance to that final lobby.
But we have seen people come back from outside of that hole, getting that 8th place, and then running it back, making it to the final lobby. Bradini started last week really, really strong, and had a little bit of a dip right in the middle. So what we're looking for on Bradini is, can we be consistent throughout the entirety of the day, right? 1/8 place out of the 5 is fine, right? That's a little bit of an outlier, but we had a little bit of a rough time in the middle of the day, and that to me, it tells me that, hey, we got to really focus in on what made us a little bit more vulnerable during these times of these lobbies and what kind of comps we were running, because they were not working for us.
Exactly. Started off strong. Started off with a first, and then dipped in games 2 and 3, but did bring it back when it really mattered in the final couple of games where the point values are doubled. So Brady needs to keep that consistency up. Hopefully have a good opener here. I mean, have a last whisper opener potential. Nothing else will be slammed here. Doesn't want the pair of Cassidans. And we have Pirates, Calculated Loss, and Phalanx, actually. And Snap Pick of Phalanx.
So these new stat boosts for the front 2 rows and the back 2 rows, Phalanx being one of them, are kind of like the new generalized augments. It does force you to kind of play a certain way if you want, but what Phalanx is going to be able to do is give you just a little bit more predictability as you move forward. You're going to be able to understand where your power levels are going to be, because the advantage you get is a flat advantage.
Yep, it is. The back 2 rows are going to get that armor and MR, so it will benefit things that, like to sit there, like the Jhin comps, like the Sivir. I can't even just backline like your melee comps as well. That's something that we see happen in the end game, where you can do that positioning. I mean, Ahri as well. We talked about Ahri positioning of last week, and we saw some players, I think, position her like 2nd row, but some players position her 3rd row, and it seems like 3rd row is a decent spot for her to be in. After everything is kind of said and done, but might be still a little bit tweaking left to do on that regard. Bradini picking up a Lucian and a Zac here, and maybe we'll go Chemtech opener, perhaps.
Yeah, we have a Chemtech opener, we have an Innovator opener as well. If we pick up the Twitches, we'll definitely be going the Chemtech direction. But I think we're going to be going the Innovator direction, which received a pretty big nerf, but is still doing okay when it comes to getting things going. It's a lot weaker in the early game, and the Bears, everything got nerfed pretty much.
Yeah, the Bears weaker, the Dragons weaker, Seraphine's weaker. There's a lot of reasons it got hit.
But from last week, it was by far the most consistently high-performing comp on terms of the lobby, and so hopefully this is going to bring it into a little bit more of a beatable situation where you might get 4th if you land 5 Innovators, as opposed to kind of guaranteeing that top 2 for you if you have all the right puzzle pieces.
Ooh. That's Zac surviving, getting that kill off. Will die himself, but still should be a 3-0 here in favor of Bradini. That level to 4 really helping in securing the win. That Bruiser, and Bruisers I think are very good early, especially with the pairing of Sejuani and Rek'Sai that are both 3 trait units, and they both share Bruiser. That gives you a lot of not only flexibility in the early game, but just raw power, right? Bruisers have always been good in the early game, and you can take it so many more directions now. And yeah, Purple Pouring had 4 Bruiser, had Sejuani Rek'Sai on that board. That was looking like a really strong one.
Yeah, the Bruiser Renata, I think, is kind of like the flavor of the month comp right now.
Yeah.
Flavor of the week, flavor of the patch, whatever you like to say. But that Bruiser Renata definitely showing up. And we have Yordles here. It's definitely more for the economy, as you see no Yordles other than the Ziggs on the bench.
Yeah, a lot of stuff on the bench there. Okay, you get some Yordle printing some money. That's always going to be good going up against Miguel. A couple Hextechs. Hextechs in the early game are certainly going to be common. Gonna see those a lot. And Ziggs with a Shiv, I mean, we've had our discussion about Ziggs in general in the past, certainly. And yeah, even that bomb there is going to miss, and because of that, maybe not. Okay, does kill the Jarvan. Not a complete wipe, but Ziggs, man.
Yep. Hey, Khroen, I found the Ark. Anyway,
It's Six's paw mark. There we
yeah,
go. We found it.
I found it. All right, so Kupo here in second to last place is already looking at carousel priority, right? If you lose your first round, you have a much higher, and this is going to sound pretty obvious, much higher opportunity to pick first on that carousel. It's up to you to invest in picking first, right? Some people like to lose one round, then invest in the win streak. But when you're at 90 and 88, you actually might be able to power up just a little bit sooner, right? We could lose by one less unit potentially here and still pick first. So there's some early game shenaniganery that can happen. I doubt that's what they're thinking of right now as we move outside of Yordles. Pretty quick switch out at round 2-3.
Yeah, got blue battery, I believe, being the augment. So just going to restore a little bit of mana after every cast. Rek'Sai now being the carrier of the Shiv. Rek'Sai had a great early game carry. Maybe there's some merit to like re-rolling a Rek'Sai, but I don't think that'll happen with a Shiv by any means. And yeah, Kupo has already put gold into pre-leveling. And it's always interesting when you want to pre-level when you're already on a lose streak. Maybe Kupo thinks, okay, if I can win this round, then turn it all the way around, I can 3-streak before neutrals, and that's going to be a huge boost to my economy. Having a lot of units on the bench, though, still can make econ, depending if they win or lose. But this is a loss, so what are you going to sell, Kupo? Is it anything? No, actually just sitting on 8 gold, not willing to sell any of those hex techs there, and I think that really shows the power, the kind of willingness that people go to holding the hex tech units.
Hex techs are good right now. Just
Yep.
gonna throw that out there. Excuse me. They were good last week, and they're good this week because they're just super consistent. The units within it are good units, and the other thing about hex techs is they have enforcers that are a part of the regular comp. And what's really interesting, this is like maybe an outlier stat, but the two comps that have enforcers in them generally, innovators and what we were talking about, are the ones hex techs are the ones that actually perform the best overall. So I don't know if it's the enforcers that are really enabling some of these units, or if it's the hex techs and getting that shield every 6 seconds. But overall, the enforcer hex tech scenario has been quite good.
Definitely very, very good. Overpower, so we know someone's going to be running strikers. Reading that one. There's still a lot of new augments. It's a new set. You got to process them. A lot to learn. Mutant's actually being run by Banana Pajama. We don't know what the mutant quite is offhand. Maybe we can figure it out from this this fight here. Not 100% sure though.
Doesn't look like it's the execute. It's not the growing one. I wonder if it's not the mana.
Not mana, not Dark Star.
It is
Cyber.
Oh, it is the one with items. We could have actually, context clues are there.
That's
the
true.
Context clues are there. We looked at the augment. It literally told us what it was. But the augment's the same title as the mutant buff, pretty much. So they're getting the double buff there. That's really interesting. Probably saw it in the first go round, saw the mutant buff, and was like, let's go ahead and just add a bunch of HP. And that's the reason why you can run 3 tier 1 mutants and be on a 4-game win streak.
Yep. Exactly. Really nice actually spreading the components for Cyber as well as getting the Cyber augment value as well. I knew the HP was high. I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's just the tier 1 Cyber thing. That's just, it's really good. But it's both of those. So really smart for a Banana Pajama to be spreading those components out. You don't need to slam anything like an Ionic or a Declaw early. In fact, it's probably often better to not slam those. And leveling to 6 on 2-6. Definitely very aggressive. Maybe thought that, oh, if I run into Bradini specifically here, can break that streak, preserve my own, gain that econ back. Like, Banana Pajama is always winning this round. I don't think there's really any doubt about that. It's just the possibility of breaking Bradini's streak.
And we want to be able to break Bradini's streak because the way that this lobby is going so far is 2 people have, or it seems like 1 person has a super good comp right now. Those mutants have the most important part of the early game, which is HP times 2 with the mutant buff and the cybernetic augment. So you're already pushing a lot more HP that units that aren't strong enough to even get through normally are going to have to get through even more. So you're setting yourself up for success, but you do have to make sure you get those tier 2 units. As we move over to Malala now, who is running at the Yordles. We got a Bloodthirster on the Gnar. The Gnar helps enable the Yordles just a little bit more with the Socialite, but not having Tristana has been, I think, a little bit tough. The no sniper there is made it a little less flexible in the early game because you could splash like a Merc Yordle with the 3/3, but as of right now, it's gonna be the Gnar that's gonna be doing the damage with the items.
Yeah, gonna pass on the Jhin actually. BT not the best item for Jhin, but it can work out. I'm more so just surprised that BT is here in general in the early game. I mean, it's gonna be good for Irelia, I think. So maybe just gonna go that direction later on. Weak spot is gonna be the augment of choice, so you don't really need Last Whisper. And arguably, this set you don't need Last Whisper anyway, because there's very rare opportunities they're gonna be running like these super tanky, super high armor front lines because bodyguards just aren't quite as popular. Even going so far as to slamming Titans on an Echo. This is so curious, actually. Milala really prioritizing item slams to just be as strong as possible at every point, while still running a weak board, though, with the Yordles.
We are getting a little bit of HP regeneration from the ult on the Gnar, and we're a little tanky, but you're seeing it's just like we're trying to do a sword fight with a knife, a steak knife, is what it can feel like sometimes. But the regeneration here with the redemption has helped this go a lot longer than I think it should have. That could have been a wipe, but because of the itemization slams that we did just talk about, we only lose by a couple units.
Yep, not too bad of a loss, but still going a loss streak in general. And here we go. Now we have some re-rolling happening. It is going to be Twitch evaders. There's Singe. There's Azrael on the bench as well. This is a comp that we saw Lear running last week, but not quite in the same way. It is maybe just a little bit more refined at this point. And Twitch obviously still the focal point of the, being the carry.
I mean, you're giving him a little credit. He was running it like accidentally.
Yeah, kind of landed into it, but
yeah,
it was really ahead of his time.
You know how many explorers ran into islands accidentally?
Exactly.
Right? And this is what happened. We Christopher Columbus our way to Twitch invaders. So now that we have it, it's actually taken out the Jhin. You actually don't switch out the Twitch. At this point, and like you said, it's going to be the reroll version, so a tier 3 Twitch is probably going to be doing a little bit more than the tier 2 Jhin, especially since the Twitch hops. And like we talked about early in the early game, which is the backline access is here, right? Zyra is strong, and so there are a lot of comps that one Zyra ult you're like deleted. Yeah. Right? With the Twitch, you're avoiding that no matter what. So you're actually being moderately safe with a ranged assassin in this comp. And you've got a good front line and you've got time as we come to our second augment.
Yeah, got the choice of Disintegrator, Fourscore, and Stand United here. I mean, Stand United with a reroll comp is going to lack value sometimes just because you're going to be playing fewer synergies than if you're pushing levels. Disintegrator, though, I mean, that's probably going to be good. You don't really need the 4-cost champions. You're going reroll composition, so not going to be too valuable. Might be between Disintegrator and Stand United, but it is Stand United. And ooh, we get some really good passive rolls in that shop. That is fantastic to get 2 more Nocturnes and a Twitch. Just 3 away from both of those 3-star upgrades now. And actually, it's still going to be rolling.
We got confident. We hit the 2 units. Now we're confident. How many times I've done that, right? Where I'm like, I'm just gonna roll to 40, right? And then at 40 gold, your unit pops up. You're like, okay, I'll go to 30. And then your unit pops up. You're like, I'll roll to 20.
Yeah, I'll roll to 20. I'll roll to hit the next upgrade, and then it'll stop.
Exactly. And then sometimes sometimes you hit and sometimes you don't. But we were gonna be up to 40 gold anyway, so it was a pretty non-consequential situation as we have Hextech Brand on this board with the Gunblade.
All right, that's already a triple item brand there. As the Shiv, as the Gunblade, gonna be decent at carrying through the mid game, but Purple Pouring is still relatively low HP. Is 58, second lowest in the lobby. Gonna win this round, however, and yeah, send Pikachu even further down with this reroll. Maybe Purple Pouring is stabilized.
Yeah, Pikachu, I'm not choosing you. I don't. I don't like going with the crowd. But yeah, Purple Pouring also has some very famous friends in the TFT community. Works with Bryce, Esports Law. So we've got a little bit of a, keeping it in the family. We'll see who's the better TFT player at this point in time. Is it Pouring or is it the Coleslaw champion of 1993, Esports Law?
Yeah, both Master Plus players. I mean, Price is super good, has been grinding for a while, but now we get to see what the other lawyers can do here in the TFT tournament scene. We've had Bryce here a couple times before on Fight Night.
Yeah, are we lawyers now? Is that how TFT works?
You know, I actually wanted to be a lawyer when I was growing up because I was like, oh, this makes money. But then I was like, oh, that's being a lawyer. I'm not interested in that. But
so much reading, man.
Yeah.
So much reading.
It's a lot of work.
To be a lawyer. Just the reading was enough to eliminate it as a career option for me. Anyway, like, let alone all of the other stuff. As we move over to Infernix, who is probably one of the more consistently higher ranked players in a lot of our sets. Infernix, a super good player, mad consistent whenever they compete, has actually found some success, not in this particular or last set, but in set 5 and set 5.5.
Yeah.
Played it really well. So it's cool to see him back on a new set and kind of a new mechanic, because when we were doing like Chosens and stuff like that, that was kind of Infernix's time.
Definitely was. Not quite Chosens right now, but there is still, you know, VIP Debonair, and actually is rocking one of those augments right now. It doesn't.
That's funny.
It has a Leona too. This is a super strong, you know, Leona, but you still need damage, right? Or at least you usually need damage. Still 2 wins in a row. Enough damage is here, it seems like. And it's gonna fall off soon, towards the beginning or like the middle of stage 4, right? You're definitely not gonna be winning boards with winning rounds with this board.
Oh, look, what you said earlier, which is putting some of those melee units in the back lines because of the augment that we use, and we're going to get to see the effect of that. And this is a Twitch 3 already, so I think like 2 rounds ago that was the Twitch 2 with 6 copies, and then 2 rounds later we're right here, and that's why the Deathblade is actually a pretty great slam on the Twitch. It's a tier 3 unit. The Deathblade is going to be much better on that. It's flat stats, and it kind of seems to me that in terms of itemization, flat stats is pretty good right now. To refer kind of back to a Giant Slayer being one of the highest win rate items for Ahri right now, right? Combine that with the Rabadons, again, flat AP to go along with percent damage. It seems like that is the way to go right now, because Last Whisper IE combo is definitely here, right? But the Giant Slayer seems to be a little bit more important right now.
Yeah, it definitely does, especially with the popularity of bruisers, you know, just high HP target general, Warmog, slams, everything you mentioned. Very, very good. See what items come through here. It's going to be okay. That's some nice components if you want to go either direction, right? Be it AP or AD, you have like, you know, a couple or just one item away from the IE Jewel Gauntlet pairing. It is likely it's going to be AD from this scenario, and Infernix will probably push 7 here. But speaking of other AD compositions, Tryndamere reroll is actually really, really good. Can benefit from, you know, Chemtech and Challenger very, very highly. Can be built in with a lot of kind of nice utility synergies beside him. Even has a Nico's help as well, if we do want to think about pushing for Tryndamere 3. Yeah, another Deathblade, and it's going to be a Tryndamere 3 again eventually, so it will get a lot of value.
Yeah, and Khroen, I've always considered Deathblade like the Rabadons for AD. Right,
yeah,
so kind of the same concept. So I think there's something to like just getting the numbers as high as possible, right, and then adding something onto those numbers to enable you. So here it's attack speed plus crit. Maybe with other units, it's going to be that Giant Slayer, that percent health. There was a Deathblade on the other team too, I believe, with the Triforce. So yeah, again, nothing special about these items other than, again, just flat stat increases.
Rex High 2 being found. The only thing I'm really worried about for Miguel is the lack of healing on Tryndamere. Besides for the Chemtech, there's no BT, no Hodge, anything like that. Probably Hodge not usually built, but BT, yes. And now I get to see if Miguel is actually going for Tryndamere 3. The Tryndamere obviously would be picked up from the shop if so, but I guess you don't need to go Trynd 3. You can still push levels. Okay, is purchasing it. In case more Tryndameres do end up, you know, popping up here. But, you know, could push to level 8, maybe run 4 Bruiser, run Enforcer, things like that. There's merit, I think, for both situations here.
Ooh, that Tryndamere got bursted down super quick. It's still very, very low. Tryndamere suffered a pretty harsh hit to the face with the Nerf pad as well. Especially during the spin. He was doing a little bit too much damage on the cast. But Let's see if we're going to be able to come right back. Camille on Thornmail is one of the best early game slams, in my opinion, that you could put for a pseudo tank. And you're going to be putting tank items on Camille in the early game if you have them. And if you have that Camille, and Thornmail is always going to be something that's going to be worthwhile. It's going to help against, like, say we were facing the same team that we're seeing right now. We would win because we have the Thornmail because of the IE here on that Tryndamere.
Yep. Taking out the Camille now, going for Vi via the perfect fourth bruiser in this situation. You can stack Vi with items. I would say Bramble and Morello's can go on her. And yeah, here they are. Has the Nico to hit a potential Vi 2. If we're not saving it for a Tryndamere. Still does take out the third challenger, actually, to run a lot of great synergies. Now Hextech Striker being run as well with the Sivir. And if Miguel gets more attack damage focused items, then Sivir's going to become a secondary carry.
All right, we got Bloodthirster Titans versus Deathblade IE, and it's going to be the sustain. Titans was another item that we kind of talked about before coming into the game today. Pretty solid item, again, because Last Whisper isn't as popular. You can put things in like the Titans Resolve to put a little bit more defense along with the offense, a la Jax back in the day, where he didn't really need a full defensive item, but the Titans was perfect for him. Yeah, right, so definitely. Who else could function in that way? There are a couple different people, and we saw Tryndamere there with Bloodthirster, that not only are you going to be sustaining through the Bloodthirster, as you attack, you're going to be sustaining more as you inevitably hit harder every time that Titan stacks.
Yep, hit harder, get tankier. Nice item for the Tryndamere. You know, things like Irelia as well. You can even consider running it on backliners sometimes. You know, Draven Titans, I think, could actually work out. As well as perhaps Sivir. Now I get to see the level 8 pushes, right? We're at 4-5. Bradini hits the Jhin too. And these are really good items for Jhin. Zeri's in here as well to give Sniper. Is just the concern, I think, of frontline. How is it going to function? Previous set, a lot of the good Jhin compositions did come through with that Colossus Scion frontline. There's no longer Scion in here. There is an Alistair who did just get buffed though, so maybe Bradini will consider running the Alistair. I'm not sure if it really fits the same role. It kind of doesn't actually. And this comp is going to be a little bit scared when running into, yeah, the Twitch 3, the rerolls. Jhin is just kind of left out to dry there. Nothing that can save him in the backline.
Oh, poor Jhin. The best designed character in League of Legends history, I think everyone would agree. Especially for Summoner's Rift, right? But for TFT right now, we're in a little bit of a tough spot. So we definitely need to get that front line, right? Sunfire board would be nice. Any extra damage for this would be good. Any extra item, I think, for the front line would be awesome. We've invested a lot of offensive itemization into the Jhin, and now, even though we're in second place, we're really starting to feel the negatives of going so heavy into the offensive side of things, because if you do, inevitably, you're gonna fall off in the late game.
Yep. Actually. Still rolling. Doesn't feel confident enough to push to 9, and definitely agree with that scenario. That, oh, still rolling. Not really finding anything though. Finding a lot of pairs, but no upgrades. Really rough situation for Bradini to be in. Ends up ditching the Alistairs actually.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a single unit, it would be fine, but you would take 2 out, and I guess it would be the Camille and...
Yeah.
Man, this is rough.
It'd probably be
silly,
Camille Warwick, because I mean, if you take out Camille, you lose challengers, so you take out Warwick as well. It's just a little rough, though. I mean, still, this board is not strong. The Jhin is getting taken out by the backline access of the Tryndamere. We talked about the theme of, you know, the units that have backline access. Tryndamere is one of them. Jhin is just not safe. It's either CC or backline access, and yeah, this is the story that we're gonna see. I think 5 rounds now that Bradini has lost in a row. Not all of them were on the Jhin, but you see, even with this positioning, right, the units are all surrounding the Jhin, trying to protect, but still not enough.
I totally agree with you. And the unfortunate thing here is, like, tier 2 and tier 3 units are enough to take care of this Jhin too. Right now, like, Azira is going to destroy this backline, for example. We portable forge, which is really nice, but we got, like, the Triforce, which is the I can't decide what I want item. of a lot of them, right? So you're not going to get the straight benefit of, say, a Collector or a Black Cleaver or the Anima Visage. You're going to get a bunch of everything, which, as the game goes on, does get a little bit weaker. And I'm not sure Jen actually benefits from that as much as some other units might have. It seems like we kind of fell into the Jin and now we're committed, and we're afraid to ask for divorce.
Seems like it. Infernix actually remade that Irelia and still tier 2'd it. Did not want those specific items on her though, but now has a Jinx online. It's actually running 4 scrap, and this Jinx is going to be itemized over, well, not fully over the Irelia. It still will be the BT and probably an IE there. Yeah. Tier as well. Doesn't quite get the scrap value in time. Infernix a little slow on that one, but still, I think overall that was a really, really good pivot. Hit everything that they needed to. And so I think
Twitch though.
Yeah, Twitch is so good. I mean, Last Whisper, IE Deathblade, that is a ton of damage.
Okay, so this is the best case scenario, I think, for Pikachu, which was Twitch got focused down by the Nocturne. Singed is so clutch, man. How many times have you seen Singed clutch around now? I don't know what it is, but it's like old school Fiora with her parry. Yeah. Anyway, we have the Tome 2 to help us out if we want to maybe take an Assassin out. We can. Maybe we can even add a Debonair for somebody, and we can get a VIP in, like the Draven, and give him that infinite attack range. We have some good units here, some good choices if we want to switch some things out. The Jin is going to get chosen, and there is that Debonair
VIP Draven, yeah.
Are we going to keep it?
It's kind of awkward from this situation. It's hard to run 3 Debonair when wanting to run 4 Scrap as well, because Scrap's gonna give you a lot of value here. You get a free item for the Jinx and for the Irelia. You don't really want to slam any of these items because, you know, it's already 5-2. They're not great, and you just want to get that Scrap value. Infernix still sitting at a comfortable bit of HP, and I mean, this fight's not going well though. Wow, the Shiv Sivir and an Alistar 2 fully built. Like, this is a really strong board from Kupo.
And Hextech gives inherent survivability. Like, that's the thing that really gets me, right? Is even in the late game, right? You're 1v1ing a Sivir. You have the same HP. 6 seconds later, a small little shield comes through, right? And you lose because of it. And that small little bit of stats is enough a lot of the time. It's like you're at the end of a race, you're tired, and then the Hextech shield comes in. It gives you that last little bit to make it past the finish line. And that's almost exactly how it works every single round. That Sivir is also best in slot, by the way. So if you're considering how to build a Sivir, that is definitely going to be how most people want to do it. It's the Shiv, it's the Rage Blade, and it's the QSS.
Yep. There it is. Now we see Milala running a fully built Renata. It's not Bruiser Renata, though. There are 2 Bruisers, but it's mainly focused on a Chemtech. But going up against the same board, the Shiv Sivir, I don't know if it's going to be enough. Maybe with the healing coming through, it did a lot of damage. The Tryndamere still has items still alive, but is... since the backline doesn't quite do it. Close, though. Definitely close.
A little too heavy. Oh, the Twitch lost.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Purple Pouring also an 8th.
Yeah, Purple Pouring. I don't know what kind of court we need to go to help you out here, but unfortunately...
Just do some more reading, some more studying.
Unfortunately, the verdict is 8th place. But Pikachu now in 7th place. Maybe we are choosing Pikachu. We've got Bradini, who has had a fall from grace now in 6th. Miguel, Infernix, Malala, who we're riding along with, Kupo, and Pajama. Bananas in Pajama in 1st place. Yeah. Doing really well from last week.
1st place by far. The lobby HP is really close, besides for that one outlier. 12 HP on 2 players, 19 on another 2 players. Like, this is going to be multiple eliminations within the next few rounds, but Banana in Pajama has basically secured at least a top 4, if not more, from this situation. But we'll see. I mean, now we got to worry about players like Milala. Milala does have 2 fully built carries, and that is very nice. One that has some sustain, some AoE, AP damage, and then Tryndamere again with that backline access. This situation, very good for Milala. Let's see if the positioning is enough. This looks fine against generic boards. It's like against Bertini, who, wow, that is a shroud on a full clump there.
On like the clump. Yeah. So not only are we going to be affecting Victor, who's probably one of the most affected by his shroud, we also have it on the Renata. Renata, though, with the Morellos, is just so good. You get the Morellos burn, you get the poison burn, that stacks, and she's pretty tanky. So you're going to have a lot of opportunities to do that. But you get CC'd, it's going to be a little bit different. Also, Silco, good unit.
Yep, Silco. That
If you
round
wanna-
was a Silco diff.
If you want to explain how that was a Silco diff, because it can be a little hard to see.
Yeah, Silco's gonna buff a unit. It's gonna make them turbo strong, give them attack speed, and once they die, they're gonna explode for some damage as well. But really, it's the buffs that Silco gives that is oftentimes the difference there. It gives CC immunity as well, even if the attack speed and health wasn't enough. Just super good unit, and gives him starting mana when 2 units are in front of him.
Yeah, so like so good with like Renatas and Aries, right? So like 8 seconds is 26% of a round, right? So you actually do get to use the unit for almost a third of the round anyway, right? So a lot of people say, well, why would I use a unit that destroys my own units? Well, 8 seconds is a long time. And if you're not winning with a buffed up unit in that 8 seconds, you are never going to win.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Pretty
so
much. Very rare
that's
scenarios.
kind of like my feedback when it comes to that. Silco's so good. You don't need to put items on it. I actually had accidentally picked up an assassin Silco because the third one was on the carousel with an assassin spat, and it was awesome.
That's
because the explosion, they crit.
Yeah.
So
Ooh,
it was
that's big.
yeah, exactly. So he just needed to survive that first 8 seconds, and whoever he picked up was really good. So don't even underestimate that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
If you have a rod left over, just slam it onto the Silco, right? He's going to be great with that AP, even if it's just a single item. Because how many times have you watched people play and they have like the single item component, they have 3 HP left, and they leave it on the bench?
I know, you got to make use out of the components. It still could be the difference in a fight, like you're mentioning with this, Rod Silco scenario. Could definitely will happen because the AP scaling is there for everybody. No matter what component it is, just make sure you use it. If you're about to be eliminated, don't ever want to be eliminated with Nico's stats, gold, things like. Sometimes you got to risk the gold, but stats you don't really need to risk that oftentimes. It's gonna be a Quicksilver there. Not really great units to use that one on. Ooh,
this is the same board that was in first place the last time we checked the cybernetic mutants. Remember?
Yep.
Back in round like 2-4. This is how good it's been. So you would normally be super excited for a mutant spat on someone like Victor, and you're gonna be pretty excited because of the Silco, but you like the mana when it comes to some of the other mutant choices that you can have. We're just going to be a little bit tankier now, which this is the exact point in the lobby where that would start being a lot harder to deal with. This is all going to be about Victor ults from here on out. Again, that was moderately close.
That was a Silco diff. Silco buffed the Renata, allowing her to get 3 more casts off because of the attack speed and the max HP before she exploded. And now with the Silco 2, it's going to be even better with these buffs. And Pajama definitely setting themselves up to win the lobby, as we had 3 eliminations last round, Boop. And Phoenix in 6th, Miguel in 5th, and Pikachu narrowly with that Twitch reroll getting a top 4.
Yeah, and I mean, if Banana and Pajama keeps playing well and we keep winning, we're going to see a Banana in a suit here pretty soon, as we've been playing really well over the last, not just lobby, but over the last couple weeks. This particular team comp might be a little bit harder because it's Silco versus Silco. Right now, I think Silco, if you see one on one side, you might want to plop one in. On yours, lots of ultimates going off right now, but the Renata ult is, look at the value already. It doesn't seem like it's doing stuff, then all of a sudden the dot just burns way too quickly and it's over, as Malala takes a huge loss there. But we're happy right now because the rest of the lobby is looking up at Banana in Pajama, or as I like to say, the future Banana in Tuxedo.
Banana in Tuxedo, no matter what name we call Banana Pajama, they're still going to be playing some TFT at a very, very high level. We have a 6 Hex Tech board, a 5 Mutant board, and actually, look, this 5 Mutant board, a Victor 1 with just the Mutant Emblem actually did most damage last fight. It did like over 7,000. Renata had 2nd place. That is a lot of power to get out of just a Victor 1.
Silco's good unit, folks. He's also getting that ult much quicker. So if you see this is when like getting that shroud on carousel becomes like huge, right? You just getting that extra second or two to be able to accomplish what you need to accomplish. But this Renata, this is the 3rd ult already, and we have Morello's on there. Then the Victor ult comes through. It's just so much, and it all kind of comes surprisingly. It stacks on top of each other over time, as we do get an elimination. We know that we can beat Malala, so this
Yeah.
definitely looks like Banana's lobby. Another mutant spat, by the way.
Oh, 7 mutant the dream? Is that gonna happen? I don't know what mutant they're missing actually offhand, or if they have it on bench, but we can see. Oh, Mal's is on bench.
You could
That
mutant
could
Silco.
do it.
Because I like having fun. Yeah, love it.
And Mal's over
mutant...
the Zac. Here we go, 7 mutant Boop. It's time.
Look how tanky that Silco is.
Oh, that is so much HP on all the mutants. Look, because they're getting cybernetic buff for almost all of them, besides the Caston and the Malzahar.
The augment and the mutant version of that buff. This is exactly how I think you're supposed to play that. And if you look at the itemization, it's almost all defensive, right? You've got Giant Slayer and Knight's Edge on the Kha'Zix, but we also have the Zephyr. We got the Thornmail. This doesn't have a ton of upfront damage, but the amount of ultimates we're going to get because of Silco is going to compensate for that, as that was a 7-mutant lobby win. Congratulations.
That is a wrap on the lobby. Banana and Pajama winning with over 50 HP, taking them all out before stage 7. That was quite the game to start the day off with, Boop. The compositions that we thought we were going to be seeing at the top, the Innovators, the Hextechs, they were good. They got, top 4 in the game, both of them, but it was the 7-mutant, the chase trait, the very specific scenarios that you can play well and net to a first place. That's very well played, I think, by Banana there.
There are certain augments that we can pick that change the entirety of a lobby, right? And Banana had the augment, right? It was just the tier 1 augment because it was giving the same kind of stats as the mutant buff, and we already had the mutant so early. That was the direction that we went in. That was the correct way.
It was indeed the correct way. Let's take a look at the scores, just so we remind ourselves what happened in Lobby A, and see what happened in Lobby B as well. And Poison Ender actually took Lobby B here.
Yeah, we've got Drizzlessly, QB, and Hale Cranberry. I just wanted to say that. That's why I read the names. And remember, this isn't technically 4 and 4 from each lobby. It's the top 8 scores going into the finals. We do have 2 more lobbies to go. But what's really interesting here, Bradini and Infernix in Lobby A, 3 and 2 points respectively, both very good players. Bradini coming back from last week. On the other side of things, the more well-known names are also at the bottom side of the leaderboard, with XI, one of our returning players, being in the bottom 4 right now.
Maybe it's, the newness of the set. Maybe it's just game 1 jitters. Maybe it's just, low sample size. But players are going to have 2 more games to play before we can, see who moves on to the finals. And the finals, again, will have double the points. So everything on the line. It's very exciting to see how these players are piloting this new set 6.5. But we're going to have to take a short break. Don't go anywhere because we'll be back with Game 2 for Fight Night Rising. Stay tuned. We are back with Fight Night Rising. Just one game down, but still we got a couple more to go before we advance to the finals. We know how players play in Lobby A, but Lobby B, Boop, we have not gotten a chance to see yet. And I'm actually really excited to see how some of these players are going to be performing, especially the ones that we recognize. You know, Lindario from last week, QB Knight as well, I think is a player that, you know, I have my eyes on, but I like to see how they pilot the set.
Yeah, very intrigued to see Boises too.
Yeah.
I believe from Luxembourg by way of LA.
Ooh.
Playing with us today. Really awesome community person. Kind of gives me like European gangly vibes, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay. I
If
like
you're
gangly,
kind of
so
into that,
same vibes.
who doesn't?
Yeah.
Who doesn't like gangly? The dad meta in TFT is quite strong.
It really is.
Yeah, very, very, very good stuff. But going back to your original question, Khroen, about the lobby, I want to see what Purple Poison is doing, right? Whenever like a new person comes through and is able to crush that lobby like that, right? The answer is why. And then the second answer is, can you do it again? Are you going to be able to follow up success? Because that's harder than the initial success a lot of time is doing it again. So are we going to finish in the top 4? Another top 4 placement would almost certainly solidify us for the final. But we've seen a lot of people drop the ball at this very moment.
Yeah, we do indeed. It's, you know, the consistency throughout the tournament. I mean, that's always going to be a theme, right? How are you going to be able to manage it? What direction are you going to end up going? And oftentimes it's just, you know, overall best players who are going to win these kind of situations. Or if you have an early read on the meta, that's also going to be a big thing. Again, early set metas, they are not formed by any means. There's a lot of times, like we saw even last week, Twitch evaders, Lair was kind of like, oh, I didn't really know what I was doing in this situation, so I'm just going to run Twitch and then play some innovators as well. But it turns out to be a really strong composition. So if anyone else has some really good early meta reads, that will be what I am looking at for sure as we head on into game number 2, Lobby B with QB Knight.
QB Knight. Now I remember you, my friend. You're one of my friends with nothing on your walls. So, all better to focus with. I had a roommate one year who like legitimately like just couldn't really have things on the walls. It was like too distracting.
Oh, interesting.
Look at that.
That's fun. Oh, nice boards.
Yeah, nice boards. The boards for this set, I think, might be my favorite.
Ooh,
there's like a whole esports board. But we have a Merc opening potential at this point. Actually, we have a lot of opening potential now. And a lot of gold. This is my favorite kind of start, right? Which is, what do you want to do?
Oh,
like, you could choose, like, whatever. So we're going to go with Mercs. You already got the hard 3 drop. Quinn always seems to appear at the early game for most people. So I'd be very happy running Mercs at this point in time.
Yeah, Merc's still super good. You can still cash out, transition into a lot of nice, whether it be 4-cost or 5-cost units. QB Knight, well, doesn't have to level here, but before 2-1 might pre-level, make it just a bit more likely to hit. They should sell everything here, I think, for Econ, but choosing not to. Duet now only gives 200 health to the spotlight units. It was 500, then 400, and now 200. Still gonna be okay, seeing as you have the Gnar, and that might end up being the direction. I think this is a super good opener. Oh yeah, it does give a Senna, so you can actually just run it anyway. But still, I think a solid opener.
Mm-hmm.
As the Quinn, though.
And we might actually use, this is when wasting an augment in the early game is fine, is with Mercs. Right, if you want to like consistently lose streak with Mercs, sometimes picking an augment that does nothing for your team at that moment in time will be how you do it.
Yeah.
And then you use your second augment to push the win, and then you transition over, right? But the hard part about Mercs that we've seen so far in this set, and just in general with any new set, is what are you going to do after you cash out, right? There's so much more to think about now because there's just new information and new context. How is the cash out going to go? That's my question.
Exactly. Ended up selling to 10, rocking the Duet, but like you mentioned, sells the socialite units. So not going to have any value. That's okay. Going on a loss streak. Making money. When's the cash out going to happen? Already seeing what other players are running. We see a striker hard and 4 strikers being run on one of those boards.
Oh
4
my God.
bruisers. Wait a minute, the power level of this lobby. And QB, I know you want to lose, but maybe...
you maybe would have wanted to keep the augment, man.
Yeah, maybe killing a unit or two would be nice. This might be a little bit scary because there's a lot of 4-0 losses and then 5-0 losses in QB Knight's future. I'm actually okay. I'm gonna predict something right now. I think QB Knight will have 58 HP on Krugs.
58.
Yeah.
Okay. I am gonna say he will have 56.
Wow, even lower.
I just bet $1 on the prices, right?
I know. You're that player.
Yeah, I know. Fine. I don't know.
It's a good play. It's a good play.
You knew it too. Of course, I was gonna do that. Just let the smart person talk first and piggyback off their answer, right? That's how you play games. I host a game show. I know that.
You do.
But,
you do. You have the experience.
Exactly. XI now, going to be who we're running along with one of our returning players from last week. Man, this board's so cool. Anyway, I just love the aesthetic of it.
By TFT visuals.
I know, right?
Always happens.
I'm part squirrel. This is our 4 striker board. Obviously, we won our first round because of it. We've got a Deathblade 2 plus % damage increase on the Gnar. This Gnar is going to hit hard. Yes. And QB Knight is going to last 14 seconds.
Yeah, so okay, you might be right actually with the 56 because this is gonna killed 1 unit. Okay, it was about to be a 5-0, but it is a 4-0. If that 2 HP is the difference of me being right and you being right, that would be very, very funny.
We'll see. I mean, QB is gonna what is worse than hemorrhaging? Right, that is what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
and that is just the luck of the draw right now because. I mean, there's a 4 striker board. There's a 4 bruiser board here already. There's innovator boards already locked in that we've seen. Tier 2 units across the way, right? The power level of this lobby versus what we saw in the last one in the early game, substantially higher. So you're going to naturally see the bottom side of that leaderboard lose HP much quicker. And QB already at 84. I believe the lowest person on Carousel last game had higher HP at this point. So we're already tracking super low.
Oh, let's see. Level 5. Lindaria went to level 5 on 2-2, so still going to be above pace in the levels. We'll go up against Hail Cranberry here. The Nocturne has backline access, but it might not be enough. Pushing to 5 and losing with 4 strikers, not a good time. Definitely not a good time. Going to be really, really hurting on that econ.
Super interesting since strikers is raw damage, and what did we talk about before that is a super valuable stat right now is just raw stats.
Yeah.
Right? And that's gonna go. But the unfortunate thing is those raw stats were not enough. We need a tier 2 at least one of these units. I think 1 would have given us the victory there. We are gonna pick last. No one at 100 HP. QB at 78. That was another wipe there for QB.
4-0. Now, if QB loses the next 2 rounds, 5-0, 5-0, then it will be 58 at Krug. So got to keep in line. We're still on pace here. We're still on pace.
If you get it right, I feel like I owe you something. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out later, but we'll see who is correct in their assessment. But yeah. I mean, these units are skinny. It's kind of like when you locked in your 4 assassins back in the day, or even in this set. You're like, oh, I got a 4 spot. And you still lose because you just have no HP.
Yeah, units are just still weak, right? The synergy might be there, but there's no, HP or items to really back it up.
Exactly. So this is going to be a lot more traditional versus the other ones that we've seen. We're going to move into bruisers, taking out the Hex Tech. The one thing about Sejuani that makes her so good to me, again, is the fact that she's an enforcer. So you can slam that Caitlyn in early on. And we're going to get that Morello's on Singed.
Yeah. All right, I'm kind of sighing because I know I'm going to be wrong now because Drillis can only 4-0 QB, not 5-0, and did kill a unit. So, yeah, not going to come through.
Both of us are wrong. Both of us are wrong. I should have gone too higher, too lower.
Yeah. Still will be low 60s in the HP, though. But QB Knight, taking some losses here. Jules, has 6 out of 10 XP. Usually players would be leveling up in this scenario, but thanks, I guess, they are to hurting on the econ to do so. Levels here, because they won the last round, really wanting to protect the streak, gets innovators and bruisers in now. So I think that's the overall solid decision making.
Okay, I am curious to see how many more Deathblades we're going to see. I knew that the item was becoming more popular, but I didn't know it was like this popular. Because again, I think inevitably after seeing Rabadons do quite well the other day, I think Deathblade was the obvious next choice to try. And it seems like it's sticking around. We've seen it on Twitch already, and then the early Chalice slams have also been pretty strong, particularly for the comp that you're seeing on Drizzly's side, which is kind of like the brand Arcanist formation, which is always gonna feel like it should be doing more in my opinion than it actually is. But you know, when you need 2 ults to stun somebody, I mean, it is gonna take a little bit to ramp up.
Yeah, well, indeed. All right, QB's at 62, so you know, 4 HP off, but still really low.
62 HP is very low for Krugs. It's not like the absolute lowest. I believe that means we were able to take care of 2 to 3 units along the way, but that's it.
Yep.
Right? And at this point, too, we just have to make sure our cash out is worth it. Because we've seen it. You go down to like 19 HP before chickens, right? Or wolves, and it's just not enough time, right? By the time you finish your pivot, you're already dead. So you also need to be able to make sure that you're going to be able to win, then pivot, and then move forward through the game, just in case you get rock, paper, scissored along the way.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you have that HP, and right now QB is going to be in a rough spot. Passively leveling 5 at this point.
Yep. Boys is Rocket Innovators and has a tome on the bench. So this could be a dragon later on into the game. Also a fan of Boyce's camera angle here. Just see the eyes and the forehead. You know, that's enough.
Sorry, that was funny to me. Nothing on the walls.
Nothing on the walls. nothing
on the
on
walls.
Barely anything on the screen.
Just a forehead.
There's like an AC thing in the back, maybe. I don't know what that is, but hey, it's enough.
You know,
TFT with.
There's no right way to stream.
Yeah.
In my opinion, right?
There
are VTubers, there are no cams, there are cams, right? There are variety gamers, you know. We're just seeing part of the variety as Caitlyn, who was the MVP of last week, if you remember.
Yes, she was.
Caitlyn was the one that killed the Jin 3. Showing up again, and funny enough, it was I was looking up most common items built on Caitlyn, and it's Zephyr, which should really make sense to everyone.
Yep. You're not carrying Caitlyn. She's just she's backline in a corner. Oh, I need to Zephyr a corner unit. There we go. I'm going to be Zephyring my Caitlyn.
It's perfect.
And Innovator. Here we go. Love it.
Okay, so this bear is very, very much nerfed. However, the timing of locking this in at 3-2 is where you're actually probably not even going to see that much of a power difference. So we'll be fine. Also, this Corky in the back line, low-key going to be doing some work, even though it has no synergies.
Yep. So you have 5 Innovators. The bear is here. It is nerfed, though, but obviously it's still a bear at 3-2, so it's going to be really strong. Corky. No synergies, still some decent damage. It's a good item carry at this point. This Shiv in the Morellos is really just, you know, a Seraphine waiting room. Just need to find it.
Oh man, who would have thought that Shiv would have been is that item on Seraphine? That's been such a auto attack based item for so long, but she needs the attack speed and the tier because oh man, it's like the battery is like my phone being charged. It just doesn't. When you're playing Seraphine, right? It literally feels like you're only getting 1 mana per auto attack.
Yeah.
But we're over a Hail Cranberry, who has who lives on the Convergence.
Yeah.
Apparently. Might be taking care of the minimap over here. But Hail Cranberry is running the Hextechs and the Enforcers. This is a very common opening, and look how well we're doing.
Yep, good opener. Even a Rageblade Slam, which is kind of interesting. I mean, it's still good, I think. It's better in this set than previous. I think units like, we saw Trinamir have a Rageblade last game. Sivir rocks it pretty well. Even Draven, I think, is okay. Better than units like Jhin or like Urgot or things like that, right? So, Rageblade, not a bad slam. Caitlyn's getting value. Going to level 7 at, you know, 3-3. very, very aggressive. Usually you would do it at 3-2 if you have an insane HP opener, or you're going to wait until after the stage 3 carousel. Oh, if this is a loss here, uh-oh. Oh, this
we're really going to need to see how good Hex Techs are. We're going to get one more, and that's it. No. Unfortunately, Vi a little bit too strong.
Pushing 7 at 3-3 and losing? That, that is, yes.
I like that. I like when the player does everything we need, to explain.
I know.
Right? That emote is exactly everything that you need to hear. Because when you level up to 7 that early and then lose, it takes, what did I see? Like 4 or 5 rounds to come back to that economy extra. Yeah. When you reset your streak, whether it's losing or winning. So definitely consider that. Like when you invest to get that far ahead and you add a unit then lose, you get punished for making, what the game considers the wrong choice.
I really hate to see it. Moving over to Draconic Venom's board. I like the name.
Wait. We have Poison Ender and Draconic Venom in the same lobby. Thematic. Do you think they know each other?
I don't think so, but maybe. I don't know. I actually have
we
no
gotta
idea.
get like an anime battle.
I know.
Going. Anyway, continue.
No, I'm down to see anime battle. That'd be
I know, right? I want to Poison Under Draconic Venom 1v1 here at some point.
Maybe we'll get it. Maybe we'll get it. We'll see. I mean, Poison Under up at the top. Draconic Venom, kind of low gold, not great board. Might not get there this game, but still, anything could happen in level 7 or level 8 roll down. Augments, of course, going to play a big part of it. We'll see. Kha'Zix, not the best unit. I think Kha'Zix is, I'll say, kind of a fake assassin. He was a part of the winning board last game in Lobby A because it was 7 mutant, but that really I don't think was anything to do with the Kha'Zix.
In that comp. Yeah.
It was like a Zephyr carrier too. Like Zephyr, plus I think like a giant slayer and one other item. I think QSS it had like a Edge of Night or QSS. Yeah.
So our Merc player is actually not in last place anymore somehow. Drizzlessly, who was playing Arcanus, I believe, with 26 HP, and that was really unfortunate. So I'm probably feeling a little down if I'm them, but QB can still cash out. Hasn't done it just yet. Poison Ender, the winner of the last lobby, in pretty great position. There's just 6 players and then QB and everyone else, right? So it is very unfortunate. They're going to really need the lobby to stall out a little bit, and you're definitely seeing the effect of a very strong top-heavy early lobby by what you're seeing at the bottom here. Whenever you have a lobby that strong that early, a couple players will inevitably just take huge HP losses, because instead of taking 4 to 5 every round, they're taking like 6 to 8, and you do that 5 extra times, eventually you're 10 HP lower than you had anticipated. 18 HP at the bottom, and QB just 1, so we do get a cash out.
Ooh, alrighty. Let's see what that is. We see Draconic Venom clean up this round. Yeah, Vi is a pretty good unit. No matter what items you have on her, she'll do work. I have, carry items, tank items, whatever. She'll be there to stay. 3 assassins as well. Unfortunate that we don't, have the 4 or have anything else to replace the unit. It's not like they're terrible at this point. Draconic Venom is on a 3 streak, able to recover a bit of economy. My big question is, what are they going to pivot into? They have Bruisers. They don't have great Renata items, though. We know Bruiser Renata is very, very good. Hodge is too generic to be just, good on anybody. It's going to be okay on everybody, though. So options are there. Options are open.
Yeah, and every game needs an item like that, by the way. Right? One that's not going to be, meta all the time, will never be bad. Right? You're always going to get something out of it. It feels a little bit on the weaker side and has for a little bit. As we go over to drools, or what I do over the weekend, I just sit there and drool.
Yeah,
and we are in the midst of a pivot, obviously.
Midst of a pivot, midst of a potential Jhin pivot, potentially just more innovators as Seraphine is found. And what else do we need? Ooh, another Jhin and Seraphine. A lot of units, but not a lot of gold to make this happen. And that's what happens on these transitional phases. I mean, I think Joel's did a correct thing here of recognizing, okay, if I wait until 4-5 and level up, I'm gonna have 30 HP, probably still not that much gold. Try to pivot, not hit, and die. That happens so much, I think, in the past, couple months of TFT. And so Drills rolled it all the way down to 0 at level 7, but didn't hit any upgrades, right? Hit a pair of Jins, a pair of Seraphines, but we still have a long way to go, and now finds even more things that are not upgrades, but just units that you want. Silco, fantastic unit. You want them in most compositions, but you need that gold to find upgrades as well.
It is a little bit of a predicament to be in for sure. We're still pivoting.
There's no way this can happen. This is a 1-star front line. Need that Rexian, I think.
Oh man. I think the realization is slowly crossing our face right now. We have all of the items on the bench still. We're still deciding, right? And now we are forced to react. Every decision from here on out is been forced upon us, as opposed to things that we can proactively choose. We might end up being okay because that Seraphine Renata ult was beautiful. But without it, it might have been a little bit harder. Thank goodness for the Bloodthirster too. This might be a little bit of a Bloodthirster diff, but the Renata... not enough. Silco going to be doing some auto attacking, was actually moderately close, but you saw the effect of not having a front line. Literally, if those were tier 2 units, the Sejuani and the Seraphine, or even the Renata, we probably would have been fine.
Having none of them, though. I mean, it's still good recognition to put the Rexian over the Vi. If that was just a 1-star front line and 1-star, Seraphine Renata, that fight would have been a lot worse. There's even more units on this board as well, because Jules has the woodland, so it made 2 copies of a little Jin there. That wasn't really great, but it still did okay work. Braum too. I think we pivot out of Bruisers right now, go that Braum, bodyguard front line. They kind of have to at this point, but there's no gold. Jules is locked the shop, so I think that is the direction they want to go in.
Yeah, and everyone is got to be looking at QB Knight as well, because of we're on fire and we were playing Mercs, and that's always scary to look at. The Zeri taken care of, no problem. These are tier 1 units versus tier 1 units pretty much. And the Jin, how many times does Jin end up being the last unit? And you look around and you're like, there's no chance.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that was the case there. Drizzlisty, I love that name, actually. Winning out another round 2. So the bottom side of the leaderboard doing a little bit better. Poison Ender might be helping Draconic Venom take the nosedive as well. So we'll see if our bottom side is going to be doing better. And remember what we said earlier, we needed the lobby to stall. We needed the power levels to level out, which is natural to happen if there's a really strong early game. It means the mid game is probably either going to be hyper accelerated or stalled out and never really will be the same. So on this particular thing, it's the lobby thing, it stalled out and now everything's moderately even.
Moderately even. HPs are, getting pretty even at this point. QB Knight, 50 gold, can roll. This board is rather strange, I would say. We have Silco, but he wants to buff units up, and Oriana, sure, she can exist in the 3rd row pretty well, pretty nicely. Okay, Renata wants to be the other one. Misfortune being there is a little awkward, but now she can exist in the Socialite Hex, and I think this is a solid place to be. The overall board strength of this lobby, I actually don't think is high. Early game, it was very high. Now it has tapered off. We have Lendario carrying still a Lucian. We have QB Knight carrying an MF, and those are the transitional carry units. Sure, this Oriana and Renata are going to be doing a lot of work, so I think QB will end up winning this fight, but still has a long way to go, I think, before winning the whole lobby.
I agree. I mean, we lost the last round,
yeah.
So we are still vulnerable, and so that cash out might have not been amazing. It was probably money in that Nikos, for example. Nikos has had to have been from the cash out, but we won 3, then lost 1. Now we're gonna see what we're gonna grab. It's gonna be the grab bag, so we're gonna get some more items. Makeshift armor getting less and less valuable. That augment will always get less valuable as the game goes on. There's just too many items. But it is really good for units like Silco, right, to give them just a little bit more time to get to those first couple ults, because we've already seen how strong Silco is just in general, but particularly when we boost the Renata.
Exactly, boosting Renata. Boosting Leona over the Braum is kind of interesting. I mean, you get the Leona, those resistances. Braum will hopefully survive to get an ulti off. There's no guarantee, however. Knight really concerned about what he's going to go up against, the position of a lot of shrouds, because there's multiple shrouds in this lobby. You can, you can dodge them sometimes if you want to sacrifice Socialite Hex, which we know sometimes it is correct to sacrifice Socialite Hex value. Mostly in like 1v1 or like, a top 3 situation. Maybe it's a little bit too early to be playing into that though.
I agree. I think it is a little bit early, especially because the Misfortune's kind of like our itemized carry right now. That and the Orianna, which is working, I guess, so far. This Striker Sivir on the backline, not going to have anything close to, maybe? Get one more person? No. So Hail Cranberry is going to lose by those 4 units. Makeshift armor keeping us alive, especially with that Silco. But we're still trying to get stronger. We have a tier 1 Socialite. And remember, we were trapped into a Socialite kind of scenario because it was the first augment we chose because we wanted to throw away our first augment because we were running mercs.
Exactly. Now getting value. We've scaled. Hashtag scaling has happened. Driz, 18 HP on a streak. Iconic Venom now. Potentially lethal range as we get into stage 5 territory. Yeah, Knight's still going to get components here. So, like you're talking about, there's going to be... Okay, I mean, even still, right, when we think about makeshift armor value, there's already components dedicated to the Orianna and to the Renata, and they're still going to go there, so it's not too much value loss. It will, though, if we think about getting to, like, Dragon stage. Then we're going to have to put that component on somebody else, but we'll think about that later as we move on over to Lendario, who's running Hextech Strikers.
Yeah, this was, I think, the comp that I thought most people would race for, this particular version of this comp, because remember, Sivir's in a very cool situation where she might not even be in some Hextech comps for a little bit. There isn't a... I don't see a Sivir here, so we're just going to go with the 4 Hextech, and then we're going to add the Strikers instead, so we can go ahead and add the power onto the Irelia.
Ended up putting the Shiv on the Irelia. This is the most awkward build Irelia I think you will probably ever see. Deathblade, Jeweled Gauntlet, Shiv. You have literally everything out of all trees. One AD item, one AP item, and a mixed kind of utility item as well. This is not going to end up working well for Lendario. Definitely at least should have waited on the Shiv to get a Sivir. I think there's kind of no world where you get away with, Irelia Shiv and think you're in a good spot here. And there we go. Here's the Sivir. There's 6 Striker, 4 Hextech. And what do we have on her? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
But we do have an Irelia that obviously doesn't like ordering the same dish as someone at a restaurant. We like just to be different. So we're going to start her in the back line. She's going to take a walk around the beach real quick. Likes long walks, if you ever ask her out on a date, apparently. And also likes just taking a break in the middle of a round as well because of the CC. The Jin actually going to be doing some good work there. It's going to be IE, Last Whisper, Bloodthirster. The Giant Slayer is still considered best in slot when it comes to the Jin, but I think a little bit of sustain, especially over the dots of Renata, might actually be quite nice.
Yeah.
But we locked in to the opposite of what I think we're supposed to do here. We want in the Striker comp, the Sivir is going to be the one that's going to be doing a ton of the damage. If you do 6 Hextechs, you can be a little bit more frivolous with how you want to spread your damage, but still probably going to be on Sivir, right? You're still going to want the Shiv on her. You're still going to want the QSS. You're still going to want the Rage Blade on it regardless. But in this particular comp, you want the Sivir to do damage, because if you look at everyone else, there isn't anyone left to do it, as we have a dragon now.
Nah, this
on
is
the other side.
There's no way Lendario gets through this. Even though they're already losing rounds, Irelia has nothing to sustain her. Dragon's going to be CCing. There's a Jace in the back line. Yeah, this is indeed lights out for Lendario. Probably a 7th, but oh, actually, I think got a 6 with that. Honestly, from that position, not bad. We take a 6 there every time, as Drools ends up taking the 7th place.
And we saw the Drools pivot was a little rough as well, and that's when the lack of intention really comes to hurt us, which is, hey, we have a couple different choices. If we spend too much time living in 2 different trees, both trees will die, right? You got to pick a tree and climb it, and unfortunately, Drools was unable to do that.
Here we go. Here's a much better Irelia and Sivir comp.
This is what you want to see, right? The Hextech spat on Irelia is amazing for something like this. Raw force damage on the Irelia, so with the Hajin IE, and then you've got the attack speed for the Sivir. So the Rage Blade's there. You don't have the QSS, so any CC that comes upon us will have to be eaten by the Sivir. But other than that, the Sivir is going to be pumping out the damage.
Yeah. Big damage here. I do actually like Cranberry's at least thought to see, hey, is running 3 Socialite going to be better here? It would give Sivir some sustain as well, but thinking that 6 Hextech's gonna be better. I think I do agree that's still a bit of defensiveness. And yeah, with the units left alive, Sivir and Aurelia, they're just doing so much damage. Maybe if we can get another emblem, on like stage 6 and then level to 9, maybe we could consider 3 Socialite, but not for now. I think this is pretty much board is capped, besides for the lack of an Alistair too. But this is a good spot and has top forward now as well, with Boise's going 5th.
So I believe that's where the Alistairs are back in the packs. So we should be able to get our Alistair no problem. This is, I think, the only comp that doesn't have a Silco as well. This is kind of what I expected, the Silco versus Sivir matchup at the beginning of today. We are going to get it here. None of this is best in slot, right? But it's good enough.
Yeah.
Average in slot for both of those units.
Average in slot, for sure. Some Victor lasers shooting around, but they're not going to be finding the Sivir in the back. It might not matter, though. There's still just enough raw damage. Wow. Cranberry goes down in that round, and Driz does as well, out in 4th place.
Poison Ender, though, feeling pretty good. It's probably, gotten that ticket into the final. We'll make sure to double check that once we get all of our scoring. But what you saw was the difference between Last Whisper and Giant Slayer. That was it right there, in my opinion, in that particular round. Giant Slayer, we probably went out. Both would be awesome if we had it, right? Build the Sivir like Jhin, but it really depends on if you want that attack speed. Last week, no one was building Rage Blade on Sivir. Everyone assumed that the ult was good enough. Now, the Rage Blade goes along with the Shiv. So if you don't have the Shiv, do you build the Rage Blade? And I think that's where some of the questions needed to be answered a little differently, potentially, for Cranberry. But that's still a potential top 2 comp if we're able, somehow we pull out a Sivir 3 or something.
Yeah. Here we go. This board's so good. We have QB Knight, the Merc player, now is going to be on a Zeri 2, a Renata with 2 fantastic items with the Edge of Night and the Morellos, and then a fully built Orianna as well. This is absolutely perfect.
Absolutely perfect. This is a Merc board, has lost once since we cashed out. Was actually in a little bit of a precarious position not too long ago, but looking at the Zeri, looking at the Orianna and the Silco 2, and it's going to help our Renata really push that poison onto everyone on that board. And while none of the damage here is going to be bursty, it's going to come through no matter what, and it's guaranteed damage slower versus potential burst damage like Ari that's not guaranteed.
Yep. Now QB can level to 9 if they want to. There we go. Is going to be able to fit into Jace, which, I mean, doesn't really give too much here. Doesn't give Innovator or Enforcer, but it is an extra frontline unit, I suppose. I kind of think that another Orianna 2 would be better than the Jace in this situation, but you'd be thinking differently.
Everyone's still trying to figure out how that ultimate works. Zeri, what damage is it? It's all of it. A lot of items actually do work on her. I like Rage Blade on her too. You can put Sivir items on her as well, but the second ult is going to be pretty big. The first one doesn't feel like it does that much. You definitely need the sniper buff for Zeri as well, but is this a Giant Slayer diff now? Looks like it might be.
Round goes over to Cranberry. Meanwhile, QB does win that round against Ender. 8 HP, 7 HP. QB still streaking. Basically the battle for who's going to take second here, unless somebody can get stronger than QB. I don't think so. QB even holding units. Another Jace can hit a Jace 2 here on this roll down. Would be a huge upgrade. No Oriannas are showing up though. That's okay. Don't need Ori 3.
Yeah, there's not enough time to grab it. We needed to grab 2 of them probably this roll down in order to get there. But what I'm seeing right now is that the Silco Renata combo is strong. We've taken out a lot of the other partners for the Silco. We've seen Victor, we've seen Seraphine, but it's the Renata that's really doing work when it comes to utilizing the Silco's effect. But a lot of damage going through, and I think there was a Renata on that side as well, the Chemtech version going there.
Cranberry goes down, but looked like a bit of a Zephyr diff that fight. The Zeri getting Zephyred means that she was not able to deal enough damage in time, fast enough, and she was just the last unit alive, was not able to kite it out. Keeping now in 1v1 situation where this next round is probably going to be the last. Zephyr, okay, QB now identifies that, hey, I'm going to have to move this Zeri probably out of the Socialite Hex to dodge the Zephyr, but then the Zephyr can just go to the other Socialite Hex as well, so it's really hard to dodge Zephyr hitting an impactful unit here.
Zephyr diff, how many times does the one-on-one end on a Zephyr difference? Where is the Zephyr gonna land? This is probably going to be the last round. I truly don't see QB having that much of an issue, but we miss the Zephyr. Goes on the Senna instead, so this is going to be a little bit more complicated. It's Renata versus Renata. The binary airdrop gives us AP, though, for the Renata, Bloodthirster for the Victor, and it's going to be the 2-unit win. This, my friends, is for sure the last round. Both single-digit HP. Doesn't matter how much it is, because this is all coming down to round 6-6.
That fight looks so good. I swear I even saw QB like press enter about to type GG or something, and then was like, oh wait, Victor Laser, I lost. And yeah, we're going another round, QB Knight. Can't lock in this victory yet. The Orianna did most damage last fight. Have some upgrades coming through. The other Orianna did get sold. Maybe a frontline Jace now that it's Jace too. A swap. Where's the Zephyr going to be? The Zephyr is not going to hit the Zeri, but it will hit the Orianna this time.
So we are going to get the Renata. I probably would have moved the Renata as well. The Renata on the other side seems to be taking care of me no problem, along with my partner. But after all the ults settle, it actually looks like QB coming out on top this time. So one more Victor ult actually gets through, and that is a QB win on, I think, a disadvantageous board there at the end. Sometimes a Victor ult just misses, and we didn't hit everyone that we needed there. We actually do have some time to check in to the other lobby, as it's going to be Miguel, Purple Pouring, love the run back, and Banana and Pajama again. Look at that. Look at the streak.
Banana and Pajama is really, really solid. I think the play last week was it was good. And just, making more argument to saying, just that's going to be a staple for Fight Night Rising. And wow, these fights here. All right, Purple Pouring does at least get a 3rd place after the start of the day, taking 8th. But Infernix and Bradini, again, bottom 4ing. Not what we expected.
I forget what Infernix was, an Infernal player from what I remember. Oh, I get it. I wonder if that was on purpose.
It clicked for Boop.
But did like going after some of those chase traits, so I just kind of wonder if we're maybe playing differently. We just know Infernix is really good and does perform well, but that was a different set, right? And as to think about TFT, some sets are friendlier than others to your particular style of gameplay, as this Shroud was actually really nice. Huge
Shroud there. It's going to be Kha'Zix being one primary carries, and he just gets taken out by kind of ambient damage, it feels like, from the Renata and other things. Look how many items Miguel has here. I'm fairly confident it's just going to be a Miguel win because of the Tahm Kench diff. There's not even enough places to put these items anymore. The Vi's fully built, the Tahm Kench fully built, same with the Victor, the Renata, even the Silco has an RFC BT. He doesn't even need those items, and they're still there.
Well, I also want everyone to notice what augments we picked on Miguel's side. They're all item-based. So we got the Orb, we got a finished item with the Portable Forge, for example, right? So, I mean, we did this on purpose. So, again, what do items provide? Stats, what has been kind of like the name of the game so far in these lobbies, just having better stats than your opponent, and this is a great way to do it, is to make sure you have more items.
I like rolling here as well to find a replacement Swain. There we go. We find it can actually rotate the Zephyr out. This is perfect. Good positioning, good identification of, what you do for Zephyrs in this situation. Yeah, Banana and Pajama, I don't think, even with these upgrades, I mean, Kha'Zix 2, Vi 2, this is solid. Miguel gets a freely Zephyr, kind of anything that they want. And it's going to be a Zephyr on the Malzahar. That is a great pickup there.
Honestly, I feel like Brimstone could ult this board and still lose against this team that Ark has. Again, it's the Victor. Man, Renan is so good when paired with burst damage. Right?
Yeah.
This is it, as Miguel is going to win, and that's going to be a big win for Miguel, as I think we got last on the last round. I might have be mistaken, but the first place is the first place, right? We're going to be happy.
Yeah. They did bot 4. I don't think it was last, but yeah, they did get a 5th last game. So still a much needed first place to really get yourself to be comfortable as we move into game 3, which is the last game where we'll have 16 players. After this lobby, we're going to be moving it down to just 8. But still, we got to see a lot of pretty exciting stuff in that last game, and we get to see where all the scores do end up after that lobby as well. We saw QB Knight take it in lobby B, and then Miguel clutch it up in lobby A.
I actually think lobby B is kind of a little bit more set right now than lobby A. I'm particularly interested because we had Purple Pouring and Miguel both swap fortune. So yeah, my vote's for lobby A on the next one, Khroen, as the caster pick gets to come through. Yeah, Purple Pouring on the bubble. XI, Infernus, Pikachu Voices, Jules, Bridini, Draconic, Venom, all having a little bit of a rough day, but the unfortunate thing, and if you, this is like such a weird thing to say is a disadvantage, but because both lobbies have had one player do well both times, neither of them have an advantage going into the final lobby. So unfortunately, the top side also very close for them. It's a weird consequence for doing well with someone else.
I know. I think maybe players like Purple Pouring at 8 points and all the players at 7 points, if they like get a first or a second, maybe even a third, can put themselves into the top 4 range, but again, your fate might not kind of be in your own hands if other players, unless they like 8th place or something like that. It's going to be hard to move up there with just more, with more players playing in the lobby. It's hard to move up in this bubble situation with 3 games. That's just how it is. You got to start off at least near-ish to the middle, only like a couple points away as we're moving into this game 3 situation.
So Poison Ender ending Draconic Poison in that secondary story, the B story of lobby B. Yeah. Now that we're going back to lobby A, my question is, right? Banana Pajama has been doing the best TFT that I think we've ever seen Banana and Pajama play. Yep. And the reason why I say that is I don't believe he's ever advanced past 1 week before, and we're on week 3. Right now on this latest run back. So, and we're probably going to make the finals. We're probably going to make the last lobby in the top half of it, and we might be able to win the whole thing again. So we shall see. But Banana Pajama now, this is where like the spotlight's on you. Now everyone's like, is this dude for real? Right? Can we recreate this magic? And again, we shall see. My favorite phrase.
Yeah, Banana Pajama has gotten better every single week. 3 weeks ago, Banana Pajama got 3rd overall. Last week, they got 2nd to Bridini. This week, hey, they're in 1st right now. If they can keep it up, they might be claiming the victory finally in $150 as well. And, not too shabby, especially for some TFT, which we all love to play anyway. Might as well, play in a tournament, beat some other people, get some bragging rights, and a little bit of change as well.
Exactly, Mom. I can make money on video games.
Exactly.
It's not looking that great for returning players so far today. Interestingly enough, as our lobby does sound like it is ready to go, and this is the final lobby before the finals. We're going to be going along with our former lobby 2 winner, Miguel, defending champ for the Convergence right now. Where's this going to go? Is Purple Pouring going to finish in the top 2 like I think they need to in order to really set themselves up for a day win, let alone even making it to the finals? Purple Pouring is on the bubble. We are in 9th place right now, so they do need a little bit of help, but getting that 1st or 2nd is a great way to not need as much of it.
Definitely. I like that title, by the way, that you said for Miguel, the defending champion of the convergence. I think it just has a nice ring to it. It has some
Yeah,
like arcane vibes. I'm like, ooh, okay.
yeah, we got like almost alliteration.
Yeah.
Like
Close.
with convergence and champion.
Yeah.
That's not.
Let's start with C. There we go.
That is actually incorrect. But you know, hey, it's our fight night. We can see what we want.
Exactly. You can maybe see some more Merc gameplay as well. Miguel, 2 out of 3 Mercs. Needs to find the hard Mercs to find, though. The 3 costs, either the GP or the MF. And those are no guarantee. Maybe Mercenary Heart can come through. Those are... I feel like they're kind of common, actually. I feel like we always see at least one being offered.
Some type of mercenary augment.
And not here, though.
Not here. Stand Behind Me is one of my favorite augments, just in general. It's just fun to play around. Bodyguards, though, not in a good spot. So you only really pick that when you want to use those bodyguards to your advantage. Bruisers are the tanks that you really want to use right now. As we are going to continue moving into a Merc direction. We need those 3 cost units. We might not get a great orb here because we only have 2 items.
Yep. Did take makeshift armor, which I think is actually pretty good in this situation because there's no frontline items, so you're just going to itemize your carry. Your frontliner is going to be tankier, maybe take down some units. The direction for Miguel here is definitely not decided. Maybe finding another Merc or like another Merc, another Innovator, or like brand 2 upgrade, I think will be the damage or the direction that Miguel needs. Glove, rather flexible. Orb finds a gold and a Rek'Sai. Still not much direction. We don't pre-level to 4, so there's no chance of finding a GP or an MF. Kind of rough start. Not much going on. There is perhaps Yordles. There are 3 Yordles in the shop. That could be Miguel's direction.
Nope, we're giving up on Mercs. I like your style, Khroen, and I think that is the correct choice. When you kind of bounce out of a bunch of different options and you see the Yordles, just do it. Right, just like Celestial Blessing. If you don't know what augment to get, just pick Celestial Blessing, right? And you just don't want to use your brain for that right now. Same thing with the early game in TFT. You pick up the 3 Yordles, and you're kind of giving yourself that time that you need to figure out what's going to happen later.
Exactly. Having time, having econ. Not spamming any items here. Could make, Hodge, Archangels, Jewel Gauntlet tier. Would be a solid slam. It would kind of commit you into that AP direction, though. But with these items, I don't think that's a bad decision to make by any means. Purple Pouring did rather well the last game. Higher expectations now, i.e. on a Rek'Sai. No synergies being run. And no, that's not because built different. There is just a tome chilling on the bench.
Gotta love those chilling tomes. On the bench. No loitering unless you're a tome, apparently.
Unless you're a tome, then you'll loiter for a pretty long time usually.
We can call it the loitering tome. Now
that's
on
name.
The bench. Exactly. I love it. But where are we going to go with it, right? Because the way that it works, and it's a good reminder every single time, is that it will take what you ran on the previous board and take that into consideration. Yeah. So if you use the turn that you get it and you pivot, you actually might not get anything on your board at that point in time. You want to wait an extra round. And the other thing about Tome, which I love seeing here, is that you don't have to use it right away. You can literally just keep it on your bench, just like a Nico's, for example, until you absolutely need it, and you have the true ability to go somewhere, right? For example, you have 5 innovators, right? You have the tome, you pick up your 6, you use the tome for the 7th innovator, you skip the bear.
Yeah.
Right? Those are all ways to kind of rush the innovators. Might be syndicates for this particular comp.
Could be. Debonair VIP talent is interesting because there is an IE already here. But not going to go that direction. This is one of those situations, Boop, where you just really want to see how a game would play out if you did one specific, thing different at a certain point in the game. This is that for me. I don't think this is bad by any means. There's 3 syndicates. The Darius 2 is already upgraded. It would be a while until we really get that Debonair talent value. But with the IE already there, and with the tome on the bench, that could have been huge later on. But Purple Pouring, I think, correctly decides I'm going to take the less variance style play here and just go for what I already know I have.
We could potentially do the Ashe reroll. Ashe was a unit that everyone thought sucked until it got nerfed.
It's like, wait a minute.
I know, right? They're like, wait a second. I don't know why. I think maybe it was because it's a 2-cost. And Ashe is who replaced Tristana in the 2-cost sniper tier. So maybe it was the synergies, but 3-cost Ashe early can really push a lobby to move really quickly. As we go into our first carousel with Purple Boring, picking second to last.
Yep, tie break actually won by Infernix there with 94 HP. Gets to pick second. And Purple Boring grabs a rod. Not the best item there. Could be just Morello's Slam. Darius is not the best at applying Morello's, but can still apply it to like 2 to 3 units pretty consistently. So that is okay. Redini playing pretty aggressive yet again, actually. I think went to level 5. Yeah, did go level 5 before Carousel. Playing Yordles and Arcanists. Has a
with
Chalice Slam.
So the Vex and Poppy are going to get some stats out of that first aid. The shields are going to be a tad bigger. Might be the reason why we actually have a 3-game win streak right now, because the board doesn't necessarily seem super strong, but with this first aid, we are actually going to be utilizing a little bit more defensive power with the shield. It's not technically HP, but if you're going to get a secondary stat that you want at this point in the game, the shielding is definitely going to help.
Yep. 100%. Can the Ziggs provide enough damage here? No, not by far. Takes out a unit, but so tanky. You can itemize Rex in the early game with pretty much anything, and it's going to feel good. Kupo winning that one. Gonna be going on a bit of a streak, 4 streak for Kupo. No one else is on that after Bradini, took that loss. Could just sell everything on the bench up to 20 gold, and probably should do that. Depending on if they, lose the round or win the round, could save the Darius. Losing, you sell everything else. Don't need the Corki.
We do have not a ton of gold on the bench, but we're accruing it. Like you said, if we win, we could potentially just sell the Corki and Poppy. We could sell the board too if we lose to get to 20 gold. We're already thinking about it, so we just sell the Corki and the Poppy, which for all of you Yordle levelers, all 3 of you out there, means that we're probably not going to see the full comp at this point in time.
No, I'm not sure we're going to see any 6 Yordle comps over the course of today. Actually, unfortunate.
For the 3 of you who wanted to see it, we are very sorry.
We do apologize. Bradini might actually lose this round. Lulu putting in a ton of work. Miguel going to beat Bradini here. That's good for Bradini, actually. I guess going on a 2-loss, it's okay to sell the Darius. You will still, make more gold in the long run with that.
Mm-hmm.
If you get up to 30 here, already 8 out of 20 XP. This is still an okay spot, even though there's not really any solid direction besides just AP. We like this, I think.
Yeah, I like the direction here. We're at the middle of the pack, right? So we don't need to panic. We're gonna take units down. That's the thing with Brand. The difference between Brand and some other units like that, though, is Brand isn't tanky, and a lot of the comps that he's in aren't necessarily tanky. So the value for him actually isn't that high past a certain point. I mean, it's good CC in the early game, especially this VIP Brand. But again, that'll fall off pretty quickly. As we move over to Infernix now, who's got the 4 striker. This is definitely looking like the classic striker bruiser combo. We'll see if we're going to slam in some Hextex as well, but we're going to get to 30 gold first.
Yeah, no Hextex for now. No leveling up to protect a streak because Infernix lost that streak in stage 2. What do we slam for items? Redemption, not fantastic for strikers who typically end fights relatively fast, but it will be a redemption nonetheless. It'll be good right now and still provide a little bit of value. And you don't really want to make too many other items out of the tier and belt in this composition, so I do think that is a fine slam.
Yeah, it's good for AoE damage, so, if there's a carry Zix...
Carry Zix. All right, well...
I'm sorry, you won't see it, but, if there's a Swain, right? Or a Zeri or something like that.
Yeah.
That's going to minimize some of that damage for you. It does minimize the 6 damage too.
It will indeed. Minimize, yeah, Corki, Kaisa, you know, a lot of different stuff. Victor, I think, is a big one that we see in multiple endgame compositions. So we'll see value out of it. Milala, rocking with some innovators, is going to level to 6 and play Arcanist as well. The gold is okay. The items are great for any AD boards that we end up pivoting into in the late game. This could be an Innovator Jhin, like you were describing earlier, one of the variants of a Jhin composition.
I don't know, man. I think I'm breaking up with Jhin until he gets a little bit of a buff. These items are great, right? So it's going to be good on the Ezreal. I wonder if the large rod. But we could build a Morello's later on to help out as well. Yep. Oh, that is a Renata at 3-2.
Pretty early Renata. Does have a rod on her, but didn't quite do enough damage.
Not the greatest tier 1 unit.
No.
Thank goodness. Kind of reminds me of Lux, who was like awful at tier 1 and then was a machine at tier 2, right? Kind of the same vibe.
I definitely agree. Tier 1, maybe you can, like, you know, cheese out some wins sometimes just because you're facing a weak board, but oftentimes she's just not going to do enough. Once you get a tier 2, boom, it's going to be big. Big as this prismatic augment.
Welcome to the prism.
Yeah, welcome indeed. Stand United, or what are the 2 options? Band of Thieves.
Second Wind.
Second Wind is very good. Band of Thieves, generically solid. Stand United will get value.
I mean, Second Wind Prismic is 100%.
Yeah. It's either Stand United or Second Wind.
With Innovators, it's really good too, because it's a moderately tanky comp. And it's going to be really, really nice to just get a little bit of time. Right. So, Band of Thieves are going to be the one it is. Usually people don't pick that prismatic augment unless it's first. If you get it first, you could potentially get, 6 to 8 extra items at like 2-1, 2-2. But now it's just kind of clogging stuff up, in my opinion. So, again, my favorite phrase, we shall see, but not the greatest fan. I probably would have second winded that, to be honest with you, with Innovators, because the bear and the dragon would appreciate the second wind as well.
100%. That would be so good for them. And we already have 4 Innovators at this point from Lala. I'm pretty sure it's the first time I've said, a player's going to choose either this or this and picks the third option. But like you said, we will see. Maybe it's going to end up being really good. If you're able to streak with it, fantastic choice, I think. The power that 2 TGs gives, and hey, there was a TG diff in this fight. It could have been a difference of the other augments as well. Second Wind could have given equal or near equal power. But hey, I mean, this is the route that we have gone. Lala hopefully can make it work.
Man, it's just so intriguing to see, because TFT players tend to go with things that are within their control, right? And Thief's Gloves are inherently outside of your control. You are at the whim of the Mort God, and sometimes it just works out. Sometimes you roll best of slot items. It happens, right? But to do it this early on the second augment is moderately interesting. To me. Again, the Thief's Gloves, the Rascal's Gloves, or something in the first augment tier is great, right? While everyone's running, 3 item components, you have 2 Thief's Gloves and 3 item components to run with. Now, the value is obviously a little bit less, but...
Rune and Singe, best in slot.
Yeah, but we maybe are at a point where our power level just needed to be higher right now, which the other 2 would have done. I'm still trying to figure out why, to be honest with you. We wouldn't have picked the other 2.
Yeah. Hey, maybe it'll work out. It'll be great. We'll get a winner's interview and we can ask then. That's always the kind of copium that we can hope for to get player perspective. But for now, moving over to Pikachu. Rocking with... Ooh, that's Battle Mage. That's so interesting, actually. Battle Mage, personally, is an augment that I dislike a lot, but we'll talk about that a bit later.
Really?
All right. Yeah,
I like it a lot.
I do.
I like it a lot. I've actually been using Battle Mage a ton. Interesting.
Really? Okay.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, ever since last week, I was just like, I'm going to be the Ari player.
That's sure, that's fair.
So maybe I have a little bit of
a
heuristic observation. But every time I've used it with the Ari, it's been quite good.
Okay. Maybe I have to reassess.
Same thing with the Renata.
Yeah, for Renata, it is good for sure. I do agree. The Ari boards in general, I think, inconsistent. Yeah, we'll see if they're able to, pop up here and do well. But I don't think we've seen any Ari yet so far, have we?
No, I actually haven't seen a good amount of Aries even cycling through the packs.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They
So
just
maybe
deleted
yeah,
Ari from the game
yeah.
for today.
But Pikachu now still scouting some things out. The lobby is moderately even. Koopa's at 100 HP. Doesn't really actually seem like this lobby is that strong. Definitely not as strong as the early game of the last lobby we saw. As we move into the round before Wolves, we got 50 gold here for Pikachu. Unstable evolution. So we already have it locked in for nobody.
I'm locked in for exactly nobody.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
that's,
thought for a second Cho'Gath was tier 2, but he's just
no,
big.
he's just big. I actually thought that too when we
He's
first
just
looked at this
bulking up in
board.
the winter, you know.
Yeah. Cho'Gath getting the gains, eating his fill, really bulking. But I mean, these items that are currently on the Senna are going to be pivoted over to a Kha'Zix a bit later on. But again, Kha'Zix not super consistent, I don't think. I mean, we did see a Kha'Zix win a lobby, but that was with 7 Mutant, and Kha'Zix not as the main focal point. Hopefully the Unstable Evolution will give enough value, so that it'll be good enough. But for now, moving over to Miguel, who was running Yordles in the early game, but took a lot of significant losses. That's the big part. And the econ is good, but not amazing. Not as amazing as you would expect when you sacrifice all this HP to be at 23. Now Miguel has to roll it down to level 7, cannot push 8, and has to hope to luck into some good units here because there's no guarantee. These items aren't even great for anything specific. Shiv, we think about, the innovators, things like that. Innovators so far away.
What are we trying for?
All right, it's going to be not a bruisers, it looks like.
Okay.
We can Morello's, Jeweled Gauntlet, Shiv.
Oh, no. I actually am not a fan of that. Renata's attack speed is brutally low. And while, in theory might be nice for someone like Oriana, that third item on Renata is actually really important to make it work. I mean, if you really are having some shenaniganery, like, let's go ahead and throw that Rage Blade on her to try to make the Shiv a little bit more valuable. But I actually probably would have dropped the Shiv on literally anybody else. In that situation, she does find the most value out of it item-wise, but she will also find that same value, maybe even more of it, if it was on someone with higher attack speed.
Yeah, I like Miguel rolling during when that round's still going on because you guys to roll probably 60 gold here to stabilize. Need a lot of upgrades. You need Sejuani 2, Rek'Sai 2, need to find a Vi, need to find a Zac, need to upgrade the Renata. Here's a Zac. I can go in. But a lot of things have to happen. And look, there's only 10 seconds left. Miguel can't make all these things happen.
So remember when we were saying, when you cash in on Mercs, one of the hardest things to do is pivot right afterward. We're actually in a very kind of similar situation here. You have 22 gold and 10 HP, right? We actually probably should have gone to 0 there. I don't know 100%. If greeting out here is good, and there are so many units left on the bench that we never would have gone up there with, right? So we could have gotten Ezreal 2, we could have gotten some other units, but we only got tier 1 units. This might be enough to win the round.
Yeah, and
or maybe not.
Either way. Okay, they will win. It's close. It's like so close. Yeah, Shiv diff.
It's the Luden's diff.
Yeah.
To be completely real with you, and Renata only gets the proc, I think, on the first person it hits. So where else is this Luden's going?
I mean, Vi applies it, I guess, kind of, not easily, but
again, it's the prismatic choice that we chose.
Yep.
Right. So we want to try to get use out of it, and I don't really think the comp that we've chosen can really get that much use out of it. A little bit more now, but still, this is not best case scenario.
Definitely not. It is far from it, especially with rolling to 0, level 7, and not hitting the... Oh no. Not hitting the Renata 2. That sell, I mean, it's just to move the Titans over to Vi, but I think it actually made the board weaker. Overall, we dropped Hextech. Don't have another just raw tier 2 unit. A second Renata is going to have not that much value as well.
Still might be enough.
Maybe. Redemption Cho'Gath's so good.
Yeah, I think we're okay. But again, If this lobby was any stronger than it was, or we didn't face that was close.
So close.
We didn't face Pikachu. We faced, Koopa or Purple instead. It could have been different. Yeah. I think we are lucky that we are on this carousel right now.
Definitely. 100%. Gets the Silco. Very, very good. Silco over that second Renata. Gonna be buffing up the Renata plus. It could be a Zac. Could be a Vi. Probably a Zac, I think. Actually, getting that CC out early is pretty good.
Renata 2 would be huge here. So if we do lock in that Renata 2, then we'll be sticking around for a little bit longer. Probably. The Vi 2 is really, really nice to have. We get some upgrades now. Man, literally, if the matchups went any different, I do not think we're here with Miguel, but Miguel's still in a pretty precarious situation, especially when you're looking at a board like this and there's a Jace 2 on the board. We're literally looking for a Renata 2, a whole tier lower than the Jace. Ooh, I like Shiv on Jace. That's a great unit to use it on. That little bit of mana is going to get us to our phase get a little bit quicker. Plus, when we do ult, we're going to stack that Shiv a lot faster, which will inevitably help our Morgana, who is a self-destructing missile with these items right here.
She is nerfed last patch. Ooh, that would have been. I mean, even still, it's kind of big. But you know what's even bigger is the Jace 2. That did 6,000 damage. Almost nothing else even did damage in that fight. This is so early for a Jace 2 and rolled into it as well. Like, what? That is crazy. The only thing that's not really working out is only 4 innovators hadn't found a Seraphine. Doesn't have an Ezreal either, so it's a little bit awkward.
That's so frustrating to have the Jace 2 and 4 innovators.
Yeah. And this is the board, a reminder that had the Band of Thieves. Were like, oh, is that even really good in this situation? But I guess it doesn't matter when you hit a freaking Jace 2 this early. So just win anyway. Hit the Seraphine, why don't you, while you're at it?
Welcome, Seraphine. Welcome to the concert. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. We also get some scraps. We're thinking about the Blitzcrank versus the Irelia. The Jhin actually just seems to be the Clockwork Splash right now to help with the Jace. These items on the Singed are hilarious, along with the Morgana, with good items, right? So that's the difference between, the Rascal's Gloves. We had amazing itemization on that Morgana last time with damage. This time it's going to be a little tankier. Let's see which version is successful or more successful than the other. They might both be good.
Definitely like this one a bit better. Morgana's role now isn't really to deal damage. The Jace has that taken care of. It just wants to survive as long as possible. There's a Radiant Zephyr that they got to deal with, and they're always going to know who their next matchup is, so that should almost never miss. Senna 2. Wow, Pikachu has not found a Kha'Zix yet, so cannot make that Unstable Evolution get a lot of value.
That's how fake the unit is, right?
Yeah, it's actually not even real at all.
It's not even real. It's all in part of your imagination. It's so interesting how that happens, because I bet you whatever they play next game, if they do play the next game, Kha'Zix will be like the first 4 costs they see.
I know, it always just happens that way.
I was trying to play. I had 6 innovators the whole time. All I needed was 1 Jace. Didn't see him all the way through the whole game. From 7-2. Thanks. Thanks, Khroen. But Bear is nerfed now, right? So this part of the game should be a little bit harder for the innovators. This is, I think, exactly where the innovators did get nerfed as well, would be around this area of the game, where it really forces you to either pick up the spat or to just stick with the 5 and move around it. Because the 7 innovators we've seen, that's a guaranteed top 2, top 3. The 5 now, however, is a little bit different, and this is what I'm talking about. You've got the innovator spat potentially coming up, and now all of a sudden the dragon might be on the menu. But I don't really think you should ever really be forcing 7 innovators.
Need the Ezreal. That's the big thing, right? It's not there yet. Banana Pajama, 3 HP right now as Purple Pouring. This Syndicate opener with Ashe carry actually was super good at preserving HP. I'm actually very surprised. I guess it was a lot to come through with that Radiant Zephyr and the future sight there. But even still, I mean, I'm impressed with what Ashe has been doing.
A 4th Scholar here would actually be pretty big, especially things for Ahri Ashe. This Ashe is actually going to be pretty brutal to go up against. It's a lot of attack speed slow. on the board. And attack speed slow means less ults, which means more opportunity for us. We're going to race with those ults, and your eyes are not deceiving you. That is, like you said, the Radiant Zephyr.
Yep.
So they're going to be flying high
for a long time.
for a long time. Might as well not even be a unit at the beginning of that round. So, and it's going to be really nice for things like the Ahri, but it's still just an Ahri 1, still an Orianna 1, right? A little bit of an overachieving, but we already talked about the fact that this lobby was a little slow. As Miguel, not a little slow, it's actually a lot of slow, as Miguel and Banana finish in 7th and 8th there. Wow. Banana Pajama has only won or lost first rate today.
I think they got second in game 2.
Oh, second? Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, first or second or 8th, yeah, it's very high variance there for sure. They might still be able to have enough with those placements to get into the finals. Probably 19 points should be safe, but hey, we'll have to see. Miguel takes the 7th, and meanwhile, Purple Pouring tries to stabilize, but not gonna happen up against that Jace 2. It's just too strong.
That's been here for forever.
It feels like it, yeah.
That Jace 2 is like the Romulus and Remus of Rome. It's going to discover an entire city because it's been here for so long. Ahri now finally getting the tier 2 treatment. Actually doesn't need it. It's our Zephyr holder. That is a utility Ahri if I've ever seen it. And what's awesome about this is we actually have the remover, so it doesn't necessarily have to be that way for all time. Eventually, Ahri might graduate into a powerful unit.
Yeah,
because it's a scholar.
There we go. I love it. They have the Reforger and the Remover as well. So if you wanted to, just reforge some of the items on somebody, you can do that. Probably not going to reforge the Zephyr though.
If you reforge the Zephyr, does it turn into a regular item?
It should turn into a Radiant item of the same quality. Yeah. But not really as great as it will be with the future sight value. You're gonna know who you play against. So the Zephyr is gonna be so strong. Is this an Ahri diff in this fight? Oh, one more ult if she can get it off? Maybe. No, barely. Not enough. Infernix.
I literally was describing that exact situation to you earlier today.
That is
Ahri, Ahri will only win or lose the round by 10 HP.
Yep.
Right? No matter what. And hey, a large rod would have been enough to win that round on the Ahri, as Kupo, who was on fire for a lot of this round, now hemorrhaging that HP. We've lost 3 rounds in a row. That does tend to happen in this set. A lot of people will hang on to 100 at like 4-1 and then lose all the way through stage 4 to try to get to level 8 and 9. But sometimes when you hit level 8, you don't hit anything else. As we have a Morello's on a Jace here.
Yep. It's the players that go fast 9 that this happens to. I swear it happens literally like half of every Soju stream. It's like, oh, is this a fast 9? And then goes fast 9, doesn't hit, it's like 5th or 4th. And it's like, oh, it's okay, should have just rolled on 8. Might not be the same situation here for Kupo. Kupo still has some more gold to roll, as a lot of units on the bench. Still could find things like Renata 2, Alistar 2 as well. There's a pair of Zeri's on the bench as well. A pair of Zeri's, pair of Kai'Sas. Which one are we going to hit? And once we hit, we'll be very, very strong.
Oh, that Seraphine ult was awful. That is good. That potentially might lose the whole round for Bradini, unfortunately, because Bradini also has first aid. It doesn't matter that ult was awful. There's just enough sustain to go around with the Orianna and the Seraphine.
Enough sustain. Both boards weren't in great positions there, but
first aid comps are fun.
They are. Get your Oriannas, get your Seraphines. There's no Janet Yumis right anymore, but still.
It's a great just attrition comp. A lot of people like playing attrition, right? Which is, I'm just gonna survive longer than you, and that's a really great example of a comp that's able to do that.
6 Bruiser, that's a war of attrition.
That sure is. Talk about a bunch of dudes like getting ready to fight, and they all put like cotton balls on their hands to do or fight with wet pool noodles. I would pay to see that.
That'd be funny. Oh, Silco's giving the mana to Zeri, so she ults pretty much instantly in this fight. The angle that she's at is kind of suspicious here. She's actually kind of face tanking in Aurelia, but it is only tier 1, so Zeri is still going to win out here. Yeah, Giant Slayer and Silco buffing her up. She is going to explode here in a second, though. Uh-oh.
Is she going to?
Vi?
All right, tier 1
Wait.
Vi.
And that's going to explode, too. Silco actually PayPal to kill his own units.
That was like straight up espionage coming from Silco. Like that is, we could call the police on that. I mean, and that's what I think a lot of people see in terms of Silco and why they might be averse to it, is that can happen. But out of 3 lobbies and however many Silco rounds that we've seen, that is the only time that it's happened so far. As we get another Runen's Hurricane for another ED unit. It would actually been nice to potentially put it on the Irelia, but it's just going to be a second one on the Sivir.
Imagine if we were in the olden days where Runan's worked with Sivir bounces, like, you know, set 2. Oh man, that'd be so many bounces.
She was so good.
I know.
Sivir's always been a satisfying carry to play. There's something about it.
Another Sivir. It could go for a Sivir 3. It would still be 3 away, as we need Irelia. Oh, we still need Irelia too? Oh yeah, that's a sell for sure. Question mark picking the Irelia. Yeah, where are you at? Actually, a correct use of the question mark ping there from Infernix.
Ooh, really good Zephyr from the Ahri. The Ahri's not going to be able to hit the backline, but again, it's not the reason why we're here. We are utility Ahri at the moment. We do walk up now. That's why you want to put Ahri in the 3rd row a lot of the time so you can get the back row. But I mean, the damage is not even necessary as Infernix takes a big loss, as you say. Bradini still sticking it to the man, right at 2 HP on fire with that first aid comp.
Yeah, Bradini's board is still good. Milala has now gone to level 9, still 5 Innovator, but Assassin Irelia, Boop. That's spicy. As Jill Gauntlet and Runans. Oh man, I love it.
I love it too. One of, I think, the better units to put an Assassin Spat on, outside of Alistar. Just kidding. That's funny. If you want to do like a super fun, if you want to try to play the fastest game of TFT you've ever played, put an Assassin Spat on Alistar and put Jewel Gauntlet Rabadons on it, and it will make you laugh for 1 round. And then you're going to want to surrender.
Yep, and then you actually FF. Okay, have my fun and get me out.
Yeah, just get onto the new one. It doesn't get any better than that. As Zeri now trying to push some damage, but I mean, it really doesn't seem like Zeri can do damage. And the Jace gets eaten by the Tom Kench. So the Jace 2 that was there for so long, not going to be there any longer, as Bradini falls in 5th.
Wow, Bradini definitely with that placement, not making it to the 2nd stage of play. They have bottom 4 in every single game. Not what we expected to see out of Bradini, who was, you know, the victor last week. They played so well. It's not like the meta has changed a ton. It has changed a bit, but hey, maybe it's just one of those days. However, we have our top 4 situation, Boop, and everybody is, you know, pretty close in HP. Purple pouring a little bit of head, 9 HP above Kupo, but still, this game might end the next few rounds.
We're still putting items on. We missed the Assassin as well. It's going to be the Orianna. That's actually fine for this particular round. So Ori doesn't jump. You get the Assassin buff without her having to go into the back line. But is there enough damage here? It's going to be all up to the Jason. That was enough 6 rounds ago, but isn't anymore, as 2 do fall. I wonder if Infernix was able to find that Irelia, as Kupo and Purple Pouring, who I believe have been leading most of the lobby so far since the first round.
Man, a 5 Innovator comp that hit Jace 2 at 4-5 goes 4th. That feels pretty bad considering those multiple lives left. It's just Malala as Jace got stuck on that ever so tanky Braum. Look at this thing. Warmogs, Sunfire, Bramble, an absolute beast. It's gonna be, I mean, Braum's still such a good unit this set, even though bodyguards are a little bit less frequent. Still gonna be really good into this matchup as well. But Kupo hits a Victor 2. Victor 1, it seems like, was doing so much work. Victor 2, I'm scared for Purple Pouring here.
Watch the Zyra. I actually think the Zyra is going to be the difference maker for this round. It has to hit the 3rd row, but the front row is going to be what it's going to hit this time. But it's going to be a lot. Oh no, because of the Orianna, only 2 people get hit by it. So front line was a little bit too much, but this isn't over just yet. There is an opportunity for Purple Fury to come through again. Giant Slayer on the
Ooh.
Victor might be enough, and that's the second ult is going to be enough. So the key is getting to the Victor.
Yep. First ult was kind of grief. Second ult cleaned everything up. Now Purple Pourings feels the pressure. They're going to be putting in Senna. Does give Socialite. Does give Enchanter as well. Enchanter really, really good against this Victor board. I mean, is it going to be enough, though? I guess that is the question. What repositioning can happen? What Zephyr placement can happen? Not even looking at where the Zephyr's going to hit.
Silco the Zyra, so we can ult the third row, my friend. I would love to see a little bit more of that. I actually think because Zyra's still in the set, I think that's going to happen eventually. You've said it yourself, Zyra's a really good unit, and any backline comp is vulnerable to a Zyra ult. But without any sustain now for a Purple Pouring, that seems to be the big difference maker.
Oh, yeah.
As this should be it.
That is going to be it. Tom Kench eaten, and Purple Pouring going out in second. That is going to be a huge, huge win there with a Victor. Victor has been tearing up so many boards over the course of just the 3 games that we have seen. No surprise. In fact, you get, Silco, you get Renata. Renata Victor, that pairing, I think really, really onto something there.
Renata, Victor, Silco seems to be like the two that a lot of people are using. And it's not the Renata that people are dropping. It's the Victor. If you can't find it, it's going to be like the Ari, for example, that you're going to be using it for. And that's been it so far.
Yeah, it has. Let's take a look at the scores. After 3 games of play, Kupo securing the victory in Lobby A, and Poison Ender on the other side getting another lobby win, Boop.
That's a huge deal for Poison Ender. Okay, so if I take you back in time, Bananas and Poison Ender were both leading in first place. Now there's going to be a 9-point difference between them at least.
Oh, man. There is 9 points. We get to see the scores right now. Overall scoreboard, who moves on and who doesn't. Poison Ender, QB Knight, Kupo, Driz, Banana in Pajama, Miguel Purpouring, and Milala is actually the final player. So our returning players like Lindario, like Bradini, they are not making it through.
No, they are not. And Purple Pouring did exactly what they needed to do in the 9th spot. They needed a second, and the rest of the lobby ended up the way that they absolutely needed to hit that 16 points and make it into the final. Same thing with Malala there. 3 people at 16 points. That's got to hurt if you're XI, especially with all the B skins that just came out, right? You're repping it on the name, and unfortunately you miss it by 1 point. And we saw that round, right? XI had a rough pivot, I believe, there, and couldn't really commit to anything. Was that the board with the 2 Renatas? I don't quite remember, but XI kind of lived in the middle of the pack all day today and ended up losing out on the bubble.
Lost out just barely, just 1 point, but so it goes. We're going to be moving on to our finals, Boop, and any predictions I actually want to get from you, because we've seen some trends already. Poison Ender doing fantastic, but now we get kind of everyone clumped into this final lobby. Who do you have taking the day?
Who do I have taken the day? All right. But we've not really gotten to see a ton of Lobby B with Poison Ender and QB and Kupo. And actually, the top 4 points, I think, are all Lobby B.
Ooh.
Because of that, let's go ahead and pick someone from Lobby A. Remember, everything is doubled for this lobby. So I'm actually going to go with our lawyer friend, Purple Pouring here. Who has been tracking the exact direction you need to going into the finals.
Tracking up, got an 8th and then a 3rd and then a 2nd. So let's see if we can translate these into some firsts. But before that, we're going to go on a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Fight Night Rising in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to Fight Night Rising. We are in the top 8 situation, Boop, where we get to see which one of these players is going to be this week's Fight Night champion, earning $150 as well. The only remaining player from last week is Banana in Pajama. Everyone else, not here.
Yep, the circle of life continues. You know, I think it was Mort that said every TFT player is a human. Right, and I think it is important to recognize that, you know, TFT players, when they're born, they can't talk, they can't walk,
True.
They can't, you know, all they really can do is, you know, suck their thumb when they first start living. And throughout the years, you become a wonderful TFT player and make it into the finals of Fight Night. And the reason why I say that, right, is because we've got 8 players now. Half of the lobbies have been eliminated, and so now is the time to, you know, stop doing all of like you're biding your time. You have 2 lobbies, all points are doubled, anyone can win. You got to do the job now.
Yep, gotta go all out. I mean, points are doubled, so it is going to make comeback scenarios very real. So even players that are tied for 16 points, and we got a few of them, like Miguel, Purple Pouring, and Milala, can very well overtake Poison Ender, who has a 12-point lead. But if Poison bottom 4 a couple of games, and then, you know, 20 points you get for winning, anything could happen. that's what's so fascinating about these final 2 games, Boop. It's really just all up in the air, and we get to just see some great TFT with people playing very first or 8th style, right? If we think about tournament styles, sometimes it's like, oh, it's correct to play very consistent here, go for the top 4 and get out. But nah, if you're on the bottom, you really got to play for that first, which means greeting for, you know, fast 8, fast 9s, playing mercs, all those things that can make every single game of TFT so exciting to watch.
Yeah, you don't want to leave a final lobby like this like you left anything on the table.
Yep.
Right? The way that the format is you got to put it all out there. And what's really interesting is, you know, we like to poke fun at curses and stuff, but the 4th lobby curse is still here, everyone. We have a whole other lobby, but we're really going to be looking at Poison here to see if we are, again, able to be consistent throughout a couple more lobbies. 12-point lead is a nice cushion. I think that's probably one of the bigger point leads we've had going into this round. But is it impossible to overcome? Absolutely not.
Yeah, even just stay in the top 4, right? It's an 8-point lead, but then 12 points from, you know, 6th is a huge cushion. The cushion between Poison and QB, not quite as substantial. It is just a 4-point lead. Still nice, though. But QB, one of the players who, you know, had my eye on, I think we both had our eye on coming into this tournament, is definitely performing thus far. They had a top 4 performance every single game, 3rd, 1st, and another 3rd. QB really playing well.
Yeah, and that first was a Mercs game, just like you said.
Yep.
Right? Like, we need to be able to play something like that. The reason why we played Mercs is because we opened with a misfortune on an orb. If that happens again, I think you're going to be leaning towards playing the Mercs than not. When it appears at this point in time, because we also saw someone get 8th place. I believe it was Miguel, 7th or 8th place in the last lobby, because we went for mercs. We got 2 of them and then never got the misfortune, and we never really recovered from that.
Yep. Now we get our augments. There are tier 2 gold augments, scouting, and no one has picked yet. No snap choices. Miguel actually has a Zyra 2. Oh, took tier 2s. So tier 2s is a fantastic augment when it comes to early game win streaking, but it will fall off very hard and basically be negligible once we get into the late game. So what value can you get out of that choice, I suppose? Chemtech crest or salvage bin?
Yep. We Chemtech and Renata this.
Chemtech and Renata, there we go.
Yeah, that is what we're going to do. Yep, so we are going to get the Chemtech spat, and the Chemtech spat, in my opinion, is the most flexible spatula in the entire game, because everyone can benefit from it. Yep. Literally everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, where you've come from, who you're married to,
misfortune.
Right? And we do get the misfortune, and we picked up the Alawi too, and we have like moderately good items for this too. So, I mean, remember QB was willing to throw away the entire early game and won it. And so as you saw the face, that is the face of I just landed mercs on 2-1, folks.
Again. All right. It does have a Chemtech emblem, which similarly to last time, hey, is not going to get value right now. It's going to get value later on, similar to the duet they picked in game 2. All right. Since we did it last time, Boop, I feel like we both have to get predictions for QB's HP on Krugs, but you go first this time because I went first last time.
Okay. We are going to have 68 HP.
68? Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little higher.
That's fair.
Because remember the early game of that lobby was kind of crazy, and then nothing happened for like 11 rounds. So we'll see. Again, just a 1-unit loss.
Yeah, we have context of this fight, just a 1-unit loss, not a 4-0. So maybe I'm gonna go. Ooh, 68 is good. That's a good number, Boop. That's probably what I would have guessed too, actually. So I'm just gonna do, the Boop classic. I'll go 70.
Okay, right. Cool. I appreciate it. I'm gonna bet you nothing for winning. But if I win, you owe me $5. Okay, yeah. Banana in pajama.
Exactly.
Now, very surprisingly, we actually haven't seen any Hextech packages. We've seen a couple, but they're not as pervasive as I thought they would be.
Yeah.
According to the statistics, if you want a top 4, that's the comp you do it with, right? You Hextech it, you're probably not going to win, right? You might if you high roll some Sivir items early, maybe you get a Sivir 3, but we actually haven't seen a ton of it at all. Like, at all. We've seen one Sivir round, and I think one striker with the Irelia that didn't do that well. So we'll see what happens in the future if we're going to see another Hextech. But now might not be the time to do it. The first 3 lobbies might have been the time to Hextech, and now it's time to Merc. Now might be the time to Mutant, or try to go for those chase traits, the 8 Arcanus, for example, or the 6 Bodyguards.
Exactly. Maybe if you're in like first or second place, maybe top 4ing is enough. But I mean, the point gap between fourth and first is still going to be absolutely massive, right? An 8-point gap between that because the point values are doubled. So maybe that's why we're going to be seeing less Hextech. We do have a little bit of Hextech action there. Arcanist on this board. Multiple players leveling up to 5 before the stage 2 carousel. But Banana in Pajama is going to streak because, hey, if you lose, you're not going to get carousel priority anyway because of that Tiny Titans augment. 35 free HP is...
How do you feel about that augment?
It's a good top 4 augment. That's
okay.
Pretty much what it is. You HP lead you can use to sacrifice a bit more HP, get that econ, roll it down, stabilize top 4. It's kind of what it is.
Just a couple extra rounds,
yeah,
right? And sometimes that's all you need is just the last one or two more rounds. However, the thing about Tiny Titans that can actually be moderately concerning is if you never get a good team comp, right? Then it's just like you had 35 HP and you just wasted it. Like go into the Vegas, and on your very first bet you put it all on red and it's green. It's a 0-0, right? That can definitely happen.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But because we have a little bit more time, we can live in that loss streak a little bit longer.
Speaking of loss streak potential, QB is actually a very high HP at 92. Is QB on a 3 loss, 92 HP? That'd be insane. I don't know if we're getting down to 68, Boop.
Maybe we're playing Mercs perfectly this time. I mean, we got second pick on Carousel, and I don't even think these other players are playing Mercs. It does look like we put in the Warwick, and that's a very strong early game unit, especially with the static Shiv. For example, that comp might actually be a tad too strong right now.
Probably. Chinmere with an IE. Warwick, Zyra. Is going up against Kupos. Swain 2 with Morellos. That is kind of strong. Can the Tryndamere take it out? The Warwick is stuck on the front line, but Tryndamere, again, a unit with backline access, but he's spinning through the front lines. Still should be a Miguel win here. Swain's not going to be able to 1v3 or 1v4. Allegedly. Could have 1v2'd, 1v3'd, maybe.
Zyra's going to become a problem in the future, in my opinion. There's just too many units in the back line that are good.
Yeah.
And the units that are already bad just get even worse when Zyra is on the field, for example. Jhin is who I'm thinking of, as we have featherweights. Oh! That's fun with the Ashe reroll.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that. I saw the IE on the Ashe. I saw featherweights. That's making me excited.
I'm excited too. I think that has actually the potential to be really, really good. Again, it's set 6 in a nutshell. It's what can these augments allow me to do, and it's gonna be potentially fantastic. QB, has 84 HP.
We're both wrong.
We are both wrong, but hey, I'm closer because I Price is righted you, so I win the bet. I win nothing, but that's still okay. I'll take the dub. 74.
I
It was
love
close.
it. I would love to play like an actual like Jeopardy or Price is Right game with you, or Wheel of Fortune. I actually think we'd be really good at it. Anyway,
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah. I think a Jeopardy game between the two of us might be interestingly close. I think our knowledge goes in different areas.
Yeah.
But Purple Pouring now, who has been on a hot streak, not just in this particular lobby at 90 HP, but also just overall in this on the day, because we got an 8th place to start. We got rid of all of our jitters. We got rid of all of our nervousness about it, and then now we are going to be running on a first or second place in that last lobby. We actually move out of the Ash, which makes me sad, but this is a little bit better anyway, especially with the Ezreal and the Zillion and the Warwick. Everyone there is going to be moving a little extra fast, along with doing a little bit of extra damage. And we have the whole extra unit on the board with the Innovators too.
A lot of items there. As the potential for a fully itemized carry, if we want to go, like a Shojin direction or something like that, which probably won't be the case unless we, want to go Seraphine, which is the Innovator direction. But we do have featherweights, so
we're going Twitch-Innovators.
It's very strange, I think, actually, because this is featherweights, but it is going to be a situation where Purple Pouring has leveled up instead of rerolled. So we're probably not going to reroll for 3 stars, which means Twitch-Innovator is going to be not that strong. It's going to be pivoted out of a bit later.
Oh.
So featherweights just might not get value unless I'm missing something, unless there's a 2 costing reroll that we can still go with this, which could be Warwick, but IE Warwick is not very great. I don't know. I'm actually not really sure what this is going to turn into.
This Arcanist will probably turn into a Kaisa. I'll never forget that Arcanist Kaisa that
was
we saw
very
long
good
ago. It was the last set, but it was actually insane. It was 1v 6ing boards after the 2nd or 3rd ultimate. And we have good Kaisa items on Purple Pouring's board, so hopefully on our own board we're going to be feeling a little bit better about it, as we have our Yordles on Malala's board. And I don't remember if we played Yordles on Malala before, but we have slammed a Last Whisper before, so it's gotten us into the finals, but will it help us get to the top 4?
A 3rd bodyguard with Leona going in. Not really any other great unit to play right now. And it does give potential later on for, some bodyguard stuff. I do actually want to revisit the conversation on bodyguards. I think the reason why they were so good last set and not really great here is because of, there's no Yone, there's no Urgot, there's not these always solid AD carries. This is a lot more potential AP focused, right? There's still good ADs with the Sivir, but she, bounces her damage. She has some backline access there. They really can jump around as well. But the pairing of Renata, Victor, and Silco, I think, is just a bit too strong. Bodyguards are going to do absolutely nothing against that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even if they did, Renata would just be like, okay, you're literally why I'm here as a to help eat through your HP, as maybe a tome here, maybe a Stand United, especially since we're moving away from Yordles.
Interesting decision point here. Electrocharge is honestly, I think, pretty good as well. It's very standard augment. It's kind of that same category as a Thrill of the Hunch, like a Phony Frontline. It's that level of strength.
Quick question about that augment. We have a Thorn Mail here on the Darius. Will it work on the Darius?
They receive critical strikes. Bramble, you can't be crit. So, yeah, I guess not.
Okay, yeah, so, because I was, racking my head around it for a second. I was like, well, if you have a Thorn Mail, why would you on your tank, of all things?
Oh, actually, wait. I think you can. I think the wording on Bramble is it negates the bonus damage from incoming critical strikes, but the crit will still go through. So I think I'm wrong about that. I think the crit does go through. It just, the Bramble negates the bonus damage, so it'll still function.
Okay,
Apologies
because either Bramble is like the best item for this, or the worst one, and it looks like it's made literally for this item. Is what it kind of tells me. So Bramble and the Overcharge, which is going to be when they get critted, not when you do the crit. When they get critted, they will have an electric AoE charge around them, and it's not a ton of damage, but it's enough, right? It's probably the reason why we won this particular round. And again, just to clarify, the Bramble is perfect for this particular augment, because the game still counts it as a crit. You just don't get the crit damage. So the programming's there to your advantage, and a Thornmail along with this augment seems to be pretty best in slot.
Definitely, and that's probably a big reason why Malala ended up choosing that over the Tome or the other augment there. So very, very nice. Banana and Pajama still leading the lobby right now, 97 HP. They had a great couple of games to start and then really fell off, had an unfortunate game number 3, but still well within their reach. They have top forward for 2 weeks previous. This is going to be their potential 3-week back. 3-week curse might be striking though, Boop. Yep, blue buff, death cap, and giant slayer. These are the AP items that are pretty perfect right now for Ahri, for other units as well. I think you talked about earlier, Seraphine is a great carrier sometimes of the death cap giant slayer combo.
So the reason why we're bringing it up is we saw an Ahri with this itemization destroy literally everything it came into contact with. Like, it wasn't, I mean, it looked kind of close, but it really wasn't. Yeah, it was like 1 or 2 unit wins, but at the end of the day, there was nothing that was going to outdamage that Ahri. And when he put it in the second row, remember, like, the round lasted like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So we will see, but even this brand is doing a ton of damage with it, along with the Ludens.
A lot of damage there. Ludens as well, great augment to pair with it, as you're mentioning. Blue buff, get more casts, and here we go. Here's an Ahri naturally in the shop at level 7 on stage 3. Orianna as well. Not quite as important of a unit, but Driz might be going this Ahri direction. The only worrying thing is that if we pivot into Ahri, we really want an opener that consists of Darius and also other Syndicate units, because Ahri fits super well with that 5 Syndicate bonus. You can make her work with 3, I think, which might be the situation here. If Driz continues to roll down, might hit a, Braum plus whatever other Syndicate, right? Usually Zyra fits in that slot very, very well. I think that's the potential here.
Yeah, this Luden's actually finding a ton of value with this brand.
Right? Oh, yeah.
I feel like it's doing almost the same amount of damage on the AoE on the Ludens on every ult than the actual ult. And this brand doing a really good work. It doesn't really ever feel like brand's doing the work, but in this... just like me, but sorry, so many teachers just flash back in my head. But this brand is really pumping out the damage, and along with a little bit of utility in that stun.
Yep, exactly. Bit of utility. Brand was nerfed a couple of times. It doesn't, with at least the Debonair brand, hit the farthest unit anymore. I think his damage got a little bit nerfed as well at some point. Still a solid unit. Ooh, get a gold orb. Couple Malzahars, everything's just gonna be sold, and that's actually really nice to get those because it allows Driz to sell back up to 40. So even though they leveled up at 3.5 to go to level 7, they're already back to 50 gold, right? That's huge.
Eventually, I think Dragon's Claws are going to come back into the meta too, based on what we're seeing on these boards. The Static Shiv, the QSS on the Rek'Sai, and she's gonna, like you said, Rek'Sai is going to be a pretty agnostic item holder in general. These are actually going to help the Rek'Sai do a little bit of damage. And we have the Hextech Bruisers. This is going to be the 4 Hextech. You can do 6, but right now we're going to be rocking with the 4 along with the Enforcer. With the Sejuani and the Vi. What a great combo Sejuani and Vi make.
Definitely. It's so good. Bruisers, Vi is just a good unit. She'll do the damage. Sejuani, I mean, it's kind of the Sejuani of old. She's just there for her traits and to be tanky. And hey, she's very tanky and has 3 traits now that you benefit from. So super, super nice. And yeah, part of the reason why this is a huge round win for Kupo. Kupo coming into this final stage with 23 points, well within reach of a victory. Has 74 HP and 73 gold. Can level up next round if they want to on 8, but Could even greed it until 4-5. I think has the HP total to do so on a 3 streak. Really, really good spot here. And a good spot to pivot into Sivir. There's a Shiv. There's a Quicksilver. She's a Hex Tech. Yeah. Good stuff here from Kupo. Kupo definitely in a position to win the lobby.
Those would be best in slot on the Sivir too. And we're definitely going to be moving that Rek'Sai off of the board. She's not going to last that much longer, especially if we get a Sivir 2. But we are going to need to replace the Bruiser. But we have 86 gold, so yeah. The assumption is that it should be fine. Yeah,
there's an allow even on the bench just in case, right?
Again, the thing about Rich Get Richer is actually using your advantage, right? So are we just going to stay around at 70 gold all day? How are we going to use that extra gold every round, right? Are we going to use it to roll? Are we going to use it to gain XP? Do a little bit of both, right? And right now, you can kind of be moderately conservative, especially since we're winning, and we're winning by like 5-6 units each round. That's going to really start pushing the rest of the lobby down, which has already started to happen. Like Purple Pouring, who was doing fine when we were first watching, is now at 26 HP, but does have an Ezreal 3 now. And I do think that Ezreal is holding items.
Yep. Oh man, Rich Get Richer allows Kupo to go level 8 on 4-3, even still being at about 50 gold. Might as well throw Gnar in there. Gonna give Socialite, gonna give a 4th striker as well. Such a strong position to be in. So well played by Kupo this game. Bruiser opener very good, with the Hex Tech being, you know, a nice one to win streak with. Driz is still 50 gold, but has an RE2 all of a sudden. Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, look at, man, the damage.
And Giant Slayer into Bruisers.
Oh my god. Like, this RE is the RE. Yeah. Right? It's going to one-shot most of these units, but this is also why you're only going to lose or win by 1 unit. You saw it right there, right? By the time a unit is able to hug Hari, I don't know why I said it that way, you know, she's going to get you with the orbs, right? And with the power that she has, those orbs they're going to get you every single time.
Definitely are. Now Kupo's still in a nice spot.
More units should hug Khroen.
Yeah.
More units. We should have a hugging synergy.
Hug synergy. Yeah, that's kind of Yumi. Cuddle. I mean, yeah, that's close.
Reduces your attack speed by a certain amount.
That'd be funny.
Heartseekers,
there's
right?
Opportunity. Yeah. Oh, ooh, okay. There's potential for that. We have. What was that last great idea we had? I don't remember what it was. I remember like, we should tell more.
It was a really good idea.
I actually don't remember what it was.
Because we were like, hire us. You like,
yeah.
You need us. Anyway, let me rack my brain. I do not remember. So this is what we were expecting. Chemtech Alistar. Love that. Love the creativity there. Pushing the envelope, bleeding edge, if you will. When it comes to the Alistar, but really the power is going to be going on to the Renata. This Renata going to be a little bit more on the utility. We're going to be spamming ults to help things like this Alistar continue to push damage. And I think at the end of the day, it's actually going to be the Tryndamere that might top frag here.
I think you're right. It depends on how long this Renata is going to have, how many casts she can get through on how many units, and that's a great first cast. She's going to get multiple off. How long can this Alistar survive? He's going to be healing up because of Chemtech. Going to get multiple ults off, but that one he kind of dashes away. Only hits 2. I've done that when I played Alistar on the Rift before. I've accidentally dashed past and, you know, maybe messed up the combo there, pushed him away.
Hit the creep next to the person.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Nothing as satisfying as a good Alistar combo on the Rift, though. That's one of those things that always kind of scratches that itch for you. Banana in Pajama. This might be like the biggest downfall that we've seen so far coming into a lobby like this. We started off really strong. We've been having a little bit of a hard time so far. We're going to be going armor plating for the Colossus. Hopefully it works now.
Yeah, I think it does.
I think it does too. But we still need to upgrade that to an Alistar too. We are only 1 away. We would love some items for some more damage elsewhere. And we absolutely want a Renata too. And there it is. There's the Alistar. So we're already feeling a little bit better.
Okay, that's good. We get to add an extra unit. It's probably better to actually be a Renata over at Braum 1. But that's pretty nitpicky. It's not really a great unit to fit in that slot. There's not a lot of gold left to roll with. There is a couple of extra components which make a Last Whisper. Might end up getting 1 more component, which that's why Banana Pajama isn't slamming this here. Last Whisper would be okay on the Tryndamere, but imagine if it's going to be, say, like a TG instead, or a Banshee's Claw, right? That would be a bit better of an item. So we're going to wait a little bit longer as the Renata gets yoinked in, knocked up, gets one cast off, but yeah, that's about it.
This has got to be best in slot Ari, right?
I think so.
Yeah, this has got to be it.
It's either this or it's the Aiju Gauntlet combo, but that gets countered by Bramble. She still has backline access, but I think this one has been more consistent from what we've seen, from what I've seen on ladder. I mean, just look at it right now, right? It's so good.
Yeah, and super healthy too, and not even needing all 5 syndicates in order to sustain in that situation too. So I'm looking at that Ari in first place right now and kind of saying, hey, that's probably one of the comps that we need to beat. A Dragon's Claw would be great, but on the return back, especially with the Giant Slayer, the Dragon's Claw is not actually going to be doing a ton against the Ari. So super interesting interactions there when it comes to those numbers, as I did see an IE Last Whisper unit on one of those boards, but right now we want some AD probably for our Tryndamere.
Yep. No more components, so yeah, these items are resigned to just be a Last Whisper, which is okay, not the end of the world. Silco, fantastic unit to find, a big upgrade over that Braum. Reforging a glove for Purple Pouring is going to make a Giant Slayer for last item Twitch. That's very, very nice. And we can make a Sunfire for the Echo, or just get scrap value and get the belt on there, which could be a Morello's, could be a Sunfire, could be a Banshee's. Ooh, actually, I don't know. Switching the Twitch so that it wouldn't get buffed by Zeke's or by Banshee's. Okay, it doesn't get punished here, but probably should position the
you got to think about that. Yeah. How many times has like your Echo locketed only himself?
Yeah.
Right. In those situations. So you just gotta have to go through the library of items in your head. That last Twitch ult was actually pretty crazy before we went to the trampoline park, but we're off the tramps and we're on to the dub. Twitch Evaders. You know, we didn't think that was gonna be Twitch Evaders when we first left Purple Pouring, but it seems to be the way to go. I mean, Jhin is nowhere to be seen, and these items are perfect Jhin items.
Yeah.
That should tell a story.
Definitely. I mean, because Purple Pouring was in a position where they did purchase XP in the early game, whereas if you're rerolling, you usually wouldn't do that. You still can. It's just less likely. So I think Purple Pouring identified that was the situation where even though they bought XP level to 5, they could still stay on 5, slow roll, even though they weren't great economy, they didn't have great economy, and still hit, right? So Purple Pouring, I think, is playing this game very, very well.
Against the Zephyr this time, it's always going to be really nice, so no one's going to get distracted by the single unit in at the back line. If it was going to be the Twitch, and that was probably going to be fine anyway. This Twitch this time though gets bursted down really quickly. Oh man, a little bit of a front line might be nice for Purple Pouring. Like that 5th Innovator is going to be a huge pickup once we have it. But remember, this is the featherweight comp, so that's why that Twitch seems to be doing a little bit more damage than you might expect. But it's already falling off still, right? We were able to get on fire, but we're still in 7th place.
Still in 7th, barely, just because Banana and Pajama took that big loss. Could have been a potential 8th place here. Still can be a potential 8th place. Need one more round to feasibly go level 8, roll it down until we find a Seraphine or a Jace. We have to see. Positioning. See who they're going to face. There is this extra component on the bench, Boop, the vest that could go on a Singe, you know, maybe make him a little bit more tanky. This is a good fight. This is a good fight RNG. The Twitch is going to jump into a great spot here. After he takes out this front line, he can then turn his attention to the back. Alzar's still alive, though, but not for long.
The Sejuani's super tanky, especially with the Silco ult along with it. And I think most times Purple probably wins that round. Good matchup for us.
Yep. Oh, Silco is going to grief us again. There goes the Alistair. There goes... Okay, Renata did survive for long enough.
That was close.
Yeah.
I actually think Silco would have gotten it with an auto attack there at the end.
You're right.
But now we are at completed items.
And what
blue buff there for anyone AP. We got a Hex Tech Spat, but might be nice just to splash on. There's going to be blue buff for Banana and Pajama. More AP for QB, who was playing Mercs. I wonder if we ended up just kind of bailing on that pretty early, as Miguel now in 4th place, 22. This is probably one of the closer lobbies we've had all day, with some pretty good Irelia items in the front line.
Yeah, no one above 50 HP. No one's really safe to top 4, I guarantee it. This was the Hextech pickup, which can be nice here. Yeah, it's running 2 Hextech right now with the Jarvan. This Irelia itemization, I think, is very good. The only thing that's lacking is healing. There's the Sunfire board, some Striker upgrade, power, Locket shielding a little bit. But this Irelia, if she gets bursted down, right? Again, no way to sustain. That's the only thing I'm really worried about for Miguel here.
Yeah, and I actually think that's been a little bit of a problem for a couple of our boards so far. Is you've got to be able to get a little bit of sustain going. It might be the Hextech, right? So 2 of our units are going to get a little bit of that sustain. Irelia, though, no problem when it comes to getting some of that damage off. But, well, that Victor ult didn't feel good. Once that Victor is tier 2, this comp might have a little bit of a hard time.
Yeah, I mean, that fight was actually just a Blitzcrank diff. Blitzcrank hooked the Ahri, which you should never let happen at this point in the game, especially. You should recognize, hey, there's a player playing Blitzcrank. That was just an oversight there, which fortunately for Miguel allowed the victory, as Milala takes 8th, and 3 people are on single digit at this point. QB Knight and Purple Pouring at 4, Banana and Pajama close behind that at 5 HP. Getting real intense Boop in this lobby here for a lot of these players.
Oh, it definitely is, especially now that we're in the final lobby, right? There is no room for error at this point. So Malala getting 8th place here might be a little bit of a death sentence when it comes to this particular lobby. Again, anything can happen, but getting 8th on this lobby is one of the worst things that can happen to you, as this Irelia is gonna get low, just like Flowrider. Sorry.
You're not wrong.
My brain works in mysterious ways, everyone. I sometimes I just feel like having to apologize for how it works. But Rageblade now is going to be interesting on a couple of our units. Yep. Outside of just looking a little silly. Oh, we're actually going to put in the Sivir for it.
Pretty good.
Maybe we just slam it on like the Rek'Sai or something.
Rek'Sai Rageblade. Yeah, could have been, but yeah, we'll be the Sivir now. Banana and Pajama goes 7th, so they start off the day super well, and then back-to-back bottom 4s. Went 1st, 2nd, then went 8th, 7th, so actually can only go bot 2 or top 2. Hopefully next game they turn around to a top 2 yet again. Driz, ooh, there's a player playing 8 Hextech. That Driz just scouted briefly.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. I've been playing a lot of Hextech, and I've just been not getting
Kupo.
the stats that I need.
42 HP, win streaking, 8 Hextech. Sounds about right.
Yep. And we have, in terms of augments, that's our Rich Get Richer board.
Yep.
Which we hung out with not too long ago. And it does seem like we were able to use that advantage. So we have Drizzlessly now, which has gotten 2 losses in a row. This has been the Ahri board that has been pretty good. We get to see the Hextechs. Oh, Ahri's going to struggle against this, potentially.
A lot of shielding, a lot of just AoE damage that the Sivir is oh, yeah, that was fast.
Yeah, it almost is like Ahri needs a faster ult for that comp. Like, it needs to just move faster. Because that was a triple Chalice Victor. So everyone from 2nd to 5th now separated by 8 HP, and then there's Kupo.
And then there's Kupo. Well at the top, very comfortable. 8 Hextech, not worried about anything. And that fight was almost as fast as, say, like an 8 Challenger board would be, like, you know, last set, like a Yone Fiora just kind of tearing through everything. That's kind of what that felt like. And if that's the case, yeah, I'm very scared for some of these other compositions that need time to scale up. But as I'm saying that, Miguel hits Irelia 3, even with Kupo holding Irelia on bench.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And Irelia 3, not something that you see every day, is going to be able to do a ton of damage, but is very vulnerable to CC. And there is a good amount of CC in the lobby. Purple Pouring, though, one of our single digit, gets the matchup that you don't want, which is against Kupo. That's a literal just bad luck of the draw. This is pretty
Ezreal
close.
Won? Can he? Oh,
Ezreal
the dodge
versus Leona.
He does it. What?
He does it. What a champ.
That's an Ezreal 1. That just like 1v3'd.
David and the Goliath right there.
Actually. Oh, man.
But
I want to see Ezreal and Arcane now.
I'm still a little surprised he wasn't one of the first people to be in a show.
Yeah.
He's one of the, I think he's like the second most popular, one of the most popular champs in the whole game, along with Lux. But 42 HP, I don't really see how this loses, to be honest with you. Not only is there a good amount of sustain in this comp, there's just a lot of damage too. You're going to get just stats from Hex Tech as well. And we'll see what happens here with the triple chaliced Victor. This is going to be a real test of power, as the Sivir actually does not get enforced.
Victor ulti is coming soon. Here it is. Laser beams. Are they enough?
Low.
Oh, yes. Maybe. Not over yet.
Swain, though.
More lasers? Not in time.
Yes. I wouldn't have worked anyway because of the Hex Tech buff there.
Yeah.
As we're down to 2. Miguel and Kupo.
All right. Miguel the Aurelia 3 wins it out. Kupo wins out their fight. Kind of what we expected to see, I think. This is the final boss, the final matchup. Both these players are just each other. 8 Hex Tech versus Aurelia 3. Meanwhile, Kupo has 46 gold, just chilling on it. What more can happen here? I mean, rolling for a Sivir 3, I suppose. Rolling for Alistar 3. Both potentials. Sivir 3 hard to hit, since Miguel has one. Identifies that, does sell it, making 50 gold, making it easier to hit a potential Alistar 3. I like that, playing to all your outs. But how's the fight gonna go?
I mean, if you're Kupo, you've actually got at least 3 rounds to try to pick up something like an Alistar 3, so it's not out of the world. This comp with Hextech 8, I mean, it's honestly a little surprising that we haven't seen more Hextechs in general. I was expecting at least 2 per lobby, but, you know, Hextech 8 is good to go. And look at that Irelia.
It's going
so close!
Down. It is!
Oh, and Sivir is going to take it.
All right, Aurelia 3 not good enough. Kupo wins the lobby. And here we go, Boop. What we expected at the start. Hex Tech supremacy. Here we go.
Hex Tech supremacy. It was Hex Tech 8, but
yeah,
you know, it's so interesting how just the way you play the game gets different based on what lobby you're in, right? Before, we were totally fine getting these top 4s, but something that we said beforehand is maybe going after some of these chase traits are going to help us get first place. That is exactly what happened. We went with a chase trait on the 8 Hex Tech, and that was good enough to get rid of an Irelia 3 with good items.
Yeah, crazy lobby there. Let's go ahead and look at the scores after that last game and see where that brings us in terms of the totals. Kupo now in first place after that one. Ender was in first. It dropped to third there. QB Knight gonna sneak into second. But still, Boop, we have some potential for a comeback story for a lot of these players.
Yeah, and the curse did strike Poison Ender with a 6th place in the round. Thank goodness that we came in with a 12-point lead. It is showing up. Right now. The reason why we have the ability to win still today is because of that lead coming into game 4, which again just makes kind of like every single lobby that important, right? But as we go through the rest of the lobby, we do have some eliminations in terms of it's impossible to get there. Banana and Pajama will most likely not even top 4 from this point. We might have 4 completely new people going into next week.
Yeah, Banana and Pajama and Milala cannot win. There's no way for that to happen. The potential to top 4 is there, albeit slim, as you mentioned. But really, that middle of the pack, everyone between kind of 38 and 32 points right now, that's where this game is going to get real exciting. Especially with players like Miguel after that game. That was a solid performance. And QB as well had a good one. QB has 3 third places and 1 first place on the day. One of our most consistent players alongside Kupo.
And Poison. So again, 6 people can still technically win today. 5 people for pouring because of the point being doubled could potentially get into the top 4 though. So there isn't any eliminations when it comes to the top 4 outside of our bottom 2. So going into this lobby, we got some spoiler potential, right? You know how much I like a good spoiler, right?
Of course.
I'll even read spoilers for shows and books that I'm reading because I'm a terrible person. And then, 2, can some of our players come right back, right? The 12-point lead coming into this lobby is gone. Right, so for Poison, so we've used our advantage, we've depleted it, now we've got to win this next lobby, because if you're in the top 3 and you win this next lobby, you probably win the whole thing.
Yep.
So if there's ever a time to 1st or 8th, it is now. Getting an 8th place now, you might miss the top 4, but you went for it, right? And just like I said before, you don't want to leave a fight night thinking that you left something on the table, right? You want to be able to leave and said, I did my best, and that was probably going to be how it goes. And you got to play that way. You got to commit.
Yep.
Intention's going to be the name of the game in this lobby.
Intention. That is a big theme that I love discussing with you ever since you brought it up first. I think it's really been topical, right? It's been very relevant for players with intention. They know not only in-game intention when it comes to like roll downs, but also like how you want to approach the game in general. That intention, how familiar you are with the meta, the lobby, the other players. That is intention. There's kind of intention, a little bit of everything in TFT. So really am a fan of that concept. Yeah.
You speak with intention, people just believe you. It's gross, right?
Exactly.
But that's how powerful that concept is, right? As it looks like we got 2. Tier is going to be one of the items that a lot of people are looking for.
Of course.
I'll never forget casting someone who got 4 tiers to start their game. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that happened not too long ago.
Yeah, actually. It was 4 tiers to start the game, and that was just unfortunate. But 2 would be awesome. For a couple of our players. We saw Ari top 4, didn't quite win the lobby, but it did top 4. And I think that item combination will always top 4 personally. So we'll see if we do the run back here with the tier. There's a couple of directions we can go with Shiv, with blue buff, actually moderately flexible.
Yep. Shiv. Oh, okay. Speaking into existence. Look at Kupo's face right now. Look at Kupo. Kupo's very pleased for that Shiv to come through. You know what Kupo ran last game? Hextech. You know what Sivir had? A Shiv. That's going to be probably the direction again. Of course, there's a lot of factors that can come through. Until then, there's innovator potential now with the Singe. But Kupo's happy to see that pick up.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, so we're feeling great about this. You have the sword for any potentially traditional AD carries, right? You could giant slayer it, but if you're not slamming Shiv in the early game, what is it going to be? It's a Locket. Oh, not bad. And brand 2.
Yeah.
So Locket in the early game is where it's strongest, right? You're actually going to be able to steal a couple units off the board, most likely because of it. You're going to get Shiv, which is AoE damage in the early game. The Locket's going to get you proc Shiv a little bit more often. This is a pretty good start, Khroen.
Yeah, it's solid. You gotta lock it out of this first item grab bag. You're not the happiest you will ever be, but it's you kind of nod and you're like, all right, I'll take that, right? It's good in the early game, exactly as you said. It's gonna allow Kupo with this Shiv to be more likely to win streak. Gotta see what comes through with how much gold or what units come through as well. It could be like an early Debonair package. It could be Arcanists. Ooh, could be a couple of syndicates or a pair of ashes. Rex Eyes. There we go. It's gonna be a bruisers as well to be the front line for the brand. I'm liking this, Boop. I think that Kupo is in a really solid spot here to secure this win. This is not by any means a first place kind of board, but it is at least a top 4 looking kind of board and start to the day. Or end of the day, rather.
The way I like to think about this is sometimes in TFT, you actually get kind of like a Mario Kart start, right? Which is sometimes some people just start in 6th place. Right, and you just don't get good units. For example, this board potentially could have actually won. If we hit another 3-piece board, we probably would have won that. We could have maybe beat a 3v4 here with this particular item combination as well.
True. I like that phrase, by the way, Mario Kart start. It's like so accurate. Sometimes you're just like not going to start in the top 4. You're not going to start in the top placement. That's just what happens. But you can still come back, right? It's how you play from behind. Yeah, you get a
blue shell, right? One of your augments might be a blue shell, for example. Oh my goodness, speaking totally off topic, apparently not too long ago, the world record for a Mario Kart speedrun was about to get broken, and then the computer blue shelled them.
No way.
And they didn't get it.
Oh, no.
Could you imagine the pain? And just like, I would never play Mario Kart again.
That's a
if that was the case. Because as a regular person, the blue shell is annoying. But to lose your world record from it, just nothing but empathy. But looks like Drizzlessly is looking at Twitch. Twitch, very, very common unit so far. And it's going to be featherweight. So we already saw that do moderately well last round. I think he got 4th or 5th. The Twitch didn't come very soon. Remember, Purple Pouring was kind of behind on the featherweight reroll. So we'll see if Drizzlessly is going to get a little bit faster on it.
Not a bad opener for it at all. Let's see here. His lane upgrade. Innovators are still a thing on this board here. We got the Singe with Ionic Slam. Kind of interesting. Ionic, not really an item that you'll see get a ton of value these days. So usually those items would just be saved. I don't know. Not the biggest fan, but if it allows Purple Pouring to go on a streak, then sure, it's gonna be super worth it. I think, especially with leveling up to 5, playing to preserve the streak. I like it a lot more now. I actually really like that level up.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think Purple Pouring has tried to run this almost every round so far. So, the Innovators might be something that we are confident with. Imagine if the Innovators didn't get nerfed, the different of day that we might have had today.
Yeah.
But this Shiv should be fine. I mean, it should be. The Rek'Sai does get that kill and a little bit of sustain. The bomb's going on the Rek'Sai, and we're going to get a 1-unit win here. But I mean, Koopa probably hasn't really invested a ton. We don't have 10 gold yet, but I'm sure we do now.
Yeah. Interesting as well that Purple Pouring didn't spread the items, because the augment is actually going to be Cybernetic Uplink, which champions holding an item, they'll gain the health and mana regeneration. That's only going to be benefiting the Singe at this point. And yeah, lost the round. So leveled to 5, leveled and lost. That's always, feels real bad. And this time, it's still remains that to be the case.
A lot of sports have places have omens, right? You don't say Macbeth in on the stage, right? Some people don't eat a certain food. In TFT, that can definitely happen to you as well. And so, sometimes you just don't get your way, and that is just a part of the game, and it's about your next decisions that are going to make you there. But if you don't get your way, you can't give up, right? Because again, self-fulfilling prophecies are a real thing. And I've seen so many people kind of whiff on the second carousel or maybe on Krugs and just give up, right? And you just never know what that augment is going to bring to the table. Is it going to be prismatic? Are you going to get a good Ornn item, for example? You're never really out of it, especially going after a top 4. But if you kind of fall to superstition, right? And you're like, what? It didn't work out for me. I'm just going to play this out now, right? That might not be the right choice.
Yeah. Speaking of the right choice, I think it might be the right choice for Banana and Pajama to just slam this Giant Slayer, right? Because that's the combo. It's going to be blue buff, Giant Slayer, plus just 2 more rods. You get a death cap. That's kind of perfect build for a lot of AP units. Also, not selling to 10 here, I think, is a little strange as well. I mean, this Corki pair, sure, if you happen to tier 2 the Corki, it's going to be okay, but usually you want to do that when Corki is going to be your item holder and you already have brand 2 holding it. So unless you're pivoting out of the brand, it feels a little awkward, because you could have made 10 there. I guess you couldn't have made 20 here, but still, I mean, you can get rid of the Corki regardless. He's not really providing any synergies right now. Oh well. It's what Banana Pajama does. I mean, we got the lucky lantern, Dango there for some good luck. So
that's like the exact mind process that I have when I drop food.
Oh well.
Right? Like, oh well, I'm just gonna eat it. And then I'm like, why am I sick all the time? Anyway, maybe that's it. This Ludens on brand, such a good opener. Imagine if that was like the prismatic Ludens. This should be a pretty good opening. Whenever you see the Ludens, brand should be on the table, right? One of the best activators of it. And you already see it's kind of like a machine gun when it comes to the blue buff. So not only are you going to get single target damage, you're actually expanding his damage to AoE damage because there's so much Ludens procs on that ult. This is going to be a bruiser potentially here with the Alawi 2. We have the snipers. This is Innovators. The Caitlyn's there for the Enforcer. And maybe the Zephyr. You never know.
Eventually. Moving over to QB. Potential Alawi upgrade, yeah. Could go with that, but no other bruisers on the field at the moment. See what comes through here. Gonna be some gold. We can make at least 20. That is great. What items, though, if any? 1 tier. Hey, that's a Shiv. You can make the Alawi 2 as well.
The Shiv should go on Warwick, no problem. Those are actually pretty good Warwick items.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. or we were saving that to go on the Twitch. Interesting too that we have Ascension, so that's going to be good for things like the Warwick if we don't like push into challengers completely, right? We do pick up the Alawi. We have a tier 2 Caitlyn, and now we have like a problem of too much of a good thing, right? we've got good units, but none of them are good altogether right now. We still need to kind of do the smorgasbord. Oh, we're gonna level up real quick and get the crab. It's gonna be a crab party.
Yeah, clockwork as well, and okay, from this spot, right? Leveling to preserve only a 1-win streak, and going on 10 gold, probably not great, especially if you're not slamming the Shiv, because the board's still going to be kind of weak, right? This might actually be a Shiv diff in this fight. Maybe it would have been a loss anyway, but again, leveled, lost, Econ in shambles. Have to sell the Caitlyn and win the fight, or have to sell the Caitlyn and the Echo, which you don't want to sell the Echo because he's an innovator, and we're playing for 5 innovator from this position. Shiv is also a great innovator board, so I think there's no reason why QB shouldn't have slammed the Shiv there, to be completely honest.
Just like my stock portfolio in the shambles, Khroen. QB Knight.
Felt that one.
I know, right? It was a rough day today. QB Knight now needs to really find out how exactly you're going to push past this, right? Eventually, you're going to need to take the Warwick out. Maybe. Yep. Right? Are we going to go full innovators? The Titans, surprisingly, actually the highest win rate item on Jace at the current time. So maybe we're moving into a little bit more damage on some of our front lines because the backline access is so much. Our frontliners are actually a little bit better off. Ascension goes through. We should win that.
All right.
Interesting that we won this so hard and we lost the last round as well. But yeah, that matchmaking is there. Drizzlessly, 54 HP. Also trying to get to the innovators.
Yep, through the way of a Twitch reroll.
Yep,
that's the featherweights board. Build different woodland trigger meditation. All bad here.
Especially built different. If you're going innovators, built different is the last augment you should ever choose. Sometimes you might get built different at this point in time. You're able just to pivot because tier 1 units are stronger because of built different, particularly with the prismatic built different. You could literally get to stage 4 with just 1 cost units in the front line, but no need to do it. If you got like featherweights and we weren't going innovators, built different might have been okay, but this is going to be all about mana, and this team likes their mana, so we're feeling okay about it. These 2 large rods though, where are they going to go?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think Driz knows either quite at this point. If this is going to be a Twitch reroll with going into innovators, right? They're probably going to end up going on a Seraphine, whether they be Morello's, Deathcap, you know, both good Seraphine items. So probably there. Shojin on the Twitch is a little bit interesting, but he's able to get more ults, pierce more units, right? Kill the backline even faster. Doesn't really need any more items besides the Last Whisper, you know, i.e. Giant Slayer is good, but I suppose not necessary when you have just backline access, being an assassin. Not the worst.
Not the worst indeed. And remember, folks, this is the last lobby, and we have a couple people who I think we have more eligible winners than we've had over the last couple weeks at least coming into this particular lobby, especially since everyone who is winning coming into the lobby performed not as well, so giving a couple other people the chance. But yeah, this Twitch needs to be a Twitch 3. It needs to be a Twitch 3 soon because we're already behind on the Twitch 3 right now in terms of rolling. Same thing with the Singe, same thing with the Ezreal. Literally everything here, at least one of them might have been tiered 3 in another game, but unfortunately, Wordle. Unfortunately, that's so funny.
Oh my god, I'm tilted with the world. Yesterday actually tilted me. That just reminded me, and now I'm tilted again. So.
Oh really? I caught it on my 3rd try.
There's
a joke there, by the way. So Malala now, you know, a little bit worried about the Wordle. Really great for your game. I think.
I just gotta vent real quick, but just the 4th letter. I had all 4 right from attempt number 2, and then it was just the 4th letter out of 5, and I got it wrong every single time, and I failed the Wordle because I couldn't get the 4th letter. There was like 6 different words it could have been.
Yeah,
and,
I failed my first ever Wordle on Valentine's Day.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
no.
it was Cynic, the Y vowel. Anyway, but the this was supposed to be an Ari, it looks like, but it does seem it's gone over to the Yordle direction. Tier 1 units now. Ziggs almost took out 1 extra unit, but it's going to be 2. Malala having a little bit of a hard time trying to play spoiler here, but could potentially do it. We might have committed to all the Yordles at this point.
Yordling is what's happening here for Milala. We have the Nikos as well to help us get there. 4 Corkis away, 42 HP, so not quite in as dire territory as Driz. But there's a unit that is tier 3 on this board who is kind of a non-factor, which is Ziggs, especially carrying an item. I mean, sure, Ziggs applies Morellos if he hits the units. But he doesn't always do that, does he, Boop?
He sure doesn't. Is this going to be a Blitzcrank diff? It doesn't look like it as of right now. This brand really serving up some damage here. Kupo going to Marshalls. We've got some Costco here as well. Maybe even some TJ Maxx on the brand. Ziggs doing, is this Deja Vu doing exactly the same as last round? 36 HP for Malala now.
All right. 36 HP, really low for Wolves. Not the lowest that we've seen. Another Corki naturally found. That's nice. 1 Poppy away from tier 3 Poppy. Has some good itemization here. There's no frontline items for the Poppy. But I think it's just, it's going to be this build that we're going to be keep seeing. But the blue buff, the Giant Slayer, and hopefully the Death Cap does come through for Milala. Any rods? A bow, which is really bad here, and a glove, which is also kind of bad here.
Just put the Last Whisper on Corki at this point, right?
Oh no. Hybrid Corki,
right? Like, what else
it works on the Rift,
do?
but
yeah, I mean, we're just in a bad spot on that board, unfortunately. I don't think Malala is going to be here that much longer, just hitting level 6 at 4-1-2, so we're also poor. Unfortunately, we have a little bit of a smorgasbord on this board right now with the Hextex, with the carry Lucian. Usually Lucian's just kind of carrying items for Sivir, and those are great Sivir items.
Fantastic Sivir items. And we have some more components on the bench. Vi already here with a Bramble as well. This is going up against Driz, who has now the tier 3 Twitch and tier 3 Singe. They had to roll to 0 for it, but hey, we found the upgrade, so that is very, very nice. The thing is, Twitch is not targeting the Lucian. Lucian also has the Quicksilver, so the Blitzcrank hook didn't come through either. And Lucian can clean this one up, I think. Vi still alive as well, yeah. Alright, Driz rolls to 0, still doesn't win. I mean, something's wrong there, right? You have to win at that point if you're Driz.
Rolling to 0 at level 6 and losing.
Yep, after hitting.
We talked about bad omens before and how sometimes you shouldn't be listening. I think right now that omen is literally yelling in Drizzless's ear. So I also still believe Malala should put that Last Whisper on Corki now. Because of the tier 3 Corki, we might be able to make it to chickens. We probably will, especially with the tier 3 Corki. That's enough to get us there. But all the other comps not super strong again. I mean, we had one lobby where, we had 4 bruisers at round 2-2. Yeah. Bruisers and strikers, I believe. 4 bruiser, 4 strikers. We had innovators, 2 innovator comps already with crabs at that point in time. But this time around, it's the Corki that's actually taking it, and this isn't even the strongest Corki on the Convergence at the moment.
Well, strongest for Poison being 96 HP on a streak, even just the tier, and the Morellos and the Gunblade. And guess what? Those are going to be Renata items a bit later. But still winning at this point right now against other strong boards. Really, really well done. I mean, Poison Ender, I think, probably fits into the category of so many players where you're playing from a streak and you're able to translate into firsts very easily, because it is easy to do that in the beginning of a set, right? Later on in a set, you're going to know how to play from behind a lot better because you know what your pivot points are exactly going to be. You're going to have faster transitional points in the game. But again, early on in the set, not quite the same. You really are rewarded when you play from ahead.
Anyone who plays card games should understand that, right? Anytime a new set of any card game comes out, you're going to play aggro. right? You're going to do aggro decks. You're going to be doing a ton of damage early on, and then inevitably what happens as the meta shifts is control starts getting a little bit better,
Yep, because people don't
right?
know how to play
Things,
it. Yeah.
yeah, like things that are kind of like control on the convertants are things like innovators, right? A little bit like arcanists. So things like aggro are going to be like the twin shots. Things like twin shots are the only things that come to my mind right now. But the overarching theme is you got to be able to pick and choose correctly in your moment in time. And as of right now, this Lucian, I think, is, oh my goodness, was 1 second away from losing.
I know.
But we're still needing the Sivir. And that seems to be the case with a lot of the boards right now, which is we have everything except for our carry.
Yeah.
We have the items, but we don't have the actual carry for the items just yet.
It's okay. 50 gold, 51 HP. In an okay spot here is Miguel. Can probably greed out until 5-1 and then roll it down then when going to level 8. Don't really need to level up right now. The board is still strong enough, as we just saw last round, to win, albeit barely, as we move over to QB Knight, who is still lacking the 5th Innovator. Oh, it's actually on the bench here, so probably going to level up to 8 now. Here we go. Level 8. Seraphine's there. Chalice. It's picked up as well. Yep.
Yep. Oh, and it's a Seraphine 2 now.
Oh, that's big.
We also have the ability to potentially put in a Jinx here as our scrap instead of an Echo if you really, really want the Jinx.
Yep.
We're going to keep the Echo instead. We like the Assassin.
Awkward Socialite Hex. It is still nice for the bear, though, but it's actually going to be the back foot augment, which gives 30% attack speed to everything that in the last 2 rows. And I guess the bear doesn't really need to benefit from that. So in a good spot here, I think QB is. The Seraphine upgrade, though, that's the big thing. Heals up the whole entire team there and deals damage at the same time. If this round is a win, it is a Seraphine diff, and looks like it just might be.
Especially with the Ascension.
Yeah.
Even just the Twitch looks like it's doing just fine. The healing does get there. That's still 3-unit win for 2 augments that aren't necessarily like A tier. So you're actually feeling pretty good about that for QB as we move into Disintegrator, Thrill of the Hunt, or Makeshift. Probably not Makeshift. You usually don't pick that late in the game.
No.
So it's going to be the other 2. If you have Disintegrator, that's because you have good auto attack based units. That's actually okay with things like Orianna, for example. Yeah. But it's even better now because you've got Twitch, right? And since Twitch is the one that you're using here, you're going to get so much more value out of Twitch auto attacks and that ult versus something like Jhin again, who is going to be locking himself out of potential Disintegrator bonuses.
And it just synergizes with the previous augment super well as well, the back foot. So more attacks, you have more attack speed, going to be getting more value out of Disintegration. So it's, yeah, just very, very nice combo there. Moving over, just scouting the rest of the lobby, seeing where they want to position everything. Just, I mean, noting, you know, intention, mass movement, things like that. That was a rather fast swap that QB was doing there. So he's swapping sides back and forth. I actually think that's like a really, really good thing to get in the habit of. Just in case you're having to do so many things when you're pivoting or something like that. Moving opposite side oftentimes is just, you know, is going to net you some round wins because people aren't going to always account for you, you know, swapping back and forth every time.
Sometimes it's just a guess, right? You're kind of playing each other, which is, oh, you're going to move. Well, no, I'm not. Just kidding, I'm moving, right? And then you're like, oh, just kidding, I move too, right? And so it's kind of like a mind game. It's one of my favorite things about TFT, actually. Just like single hex movements that might end a player's journey, for example. You get a bad hex on a Zephyr, right? That's the difference between a top 4 and a 7th place, potentially.
Yeah.
This comp has so many synergies, though, that we're getting a ton of bonuses. And once we get something to help out just a little bit more damage, we should be feeling a little bit better about it, as Drizzlessly is finally able to tier 3 some 1-cost units. Just 2 of them, but one of them is the Twitch. That's the most important one.
Yeah, has kind of stabilized. Won some rounds, but still lost others. Is at 19 HP only, though. Poison Ender and Banana Pajama having a bit of a redemption game here. It is, again, Boop, call back to that 4th lobby curse, I think, that happened for Banana Pajama. It happens every time. I mean, we used to talk about it like, oh, it happens like 80% of the time, but now I feel like it actually happens like 90 to 100% of the time.
It is uncanny. You know, there's just sometimes you just go for it and you end up being right?
Yep.
Like, just like, it's like getting the, going back to the Wordle, it's like getting it on the first try. right? Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
You just pick the right word. There are only a certain amount of words that you can pick. There's only a certain amount of things that you can pick, and sometimes you just go for it. Just like our first Twitch Evader player, as
Exactly.
we actually have an Edge of Night on Tom Kench. I see how that could work. I'm wondering if that was, anytime I see it, I think of myself and how I was supposed to be building a GA, but that is not going to be the case. And I do like Edge of Night on someone like Tom Kench because it gives them an opportunity for a second ultimate.
Looking at this position here from Kupo, I mean, I think it was like understandably a little bit dizzy there. Still, fortunately, won the round. It's just, okay, there's a lot of decision making that had to happen in that one turn between what do I want my comp to pivot into, what items do I want to make, what are my item carriers going to be, what items do I want on the carries that I end up going, right? Because there's Kaisa here, which can benefit very nice from that Edge of Night, from the Shiv, from the Morellos. You really don't want to make two Shivs, but Kupo was kind of forced to do so right there. You had two bows, but now fortunately Kupo hits the Kaisa too, so this is actually going to be a lot easier decision to make. Maybe not actually. Is going to put the Kaisa in, but not have any items on her because you don't want to sell the Seraphine either. Still kind of awkward spot overall, but Kupo has made it work here. I've been impressed with Kupo's play, and I think if this goes well, I will continue to be impressed. I'm not sure the decision making is actually going to end up working out though, and it actually results in a big loss here.
I believe this is the first Kaisa we've seen all day, actually, which is fascinating to say because that was probably one of the more popular 5-cost units throughout the entire DF set 6. Now it's the first time we're seeing it. Challengers having a little bit of a hard time just in general. We usually see it in Mutant with the Kaisa, especially if there's like the execute version of it. Kaisa's really good at that. But now we're going to go ahead and put the Sivir items onto the Kaisa. It's funny because it's a higher tiered unit, but the Kaisa can totally hold these items. But now we've got the tier 2 Sivir, and if we just had waited to put the items on, we probably would have been a little dizzy anyway. But I don't see a world where you sell the Kaisa, right?
It would have to be sell the Seraphine. Sell Seraphine, get her out of here, put Morellos on Kaisa, Shiv on Sivir. It's a rough decision to make here, I think, but I believe the Socialite Hex is in the front row, so it's not like you're getting that much value out of Socialite. It's just based on basically the Seraphine ult value. Not locking here, ditching the Sivir idea.
2 eliminations.
I don't know. It would have given Hex Tech as well. It would.
I think we're
running
dizzy.
The Sivir,
like,
yeah, I don't know. I think running the Sivir is correct there.
I think we're a little bit dizzy, and I totally agree with you, especially since it's best in slot for both the Sivir and the Kaisa with the Morellos, right? So you're not even losing that much, and you're not losing AoE damage. You're going to be getting similar damage from the Kaisa with those items. So I'm intrigued to see what their thought process is. If we do end up talking to Kupo at the end, we can ask them specifically about this. But we have another Innovator comp here. This is our Ascension comp. Oh, and we actually have the Jhin instead of the Twitch now. So we actually haven't seen this all day, I believe. So this is Jhinnovators for the first time. It's taken 5 lobbies, and let's see if we're going to finish in the top 4. Because we won the last round, but there are some pretty strong comps at the top side here.
There are very strong comps here, so QB being at 10 HP has a lot of work to do here. This Jhin build, not quite what we expect to see usually, but still, I think this can work out. Jhinnovator comp, very strong. Seraphine having a Chalice is good. Where does Jhin ulti, though? The front line is already kind of gone, and yeah, with that Ori ulti, not going to happen. Just a better Innovator comp the opposite side of the board, as QB takes a 5th in this final lobby. We have our top 4, Boop, as Kupo, wow, drops to 2.
Okay, so Poison Ender has a great opportunity here. Purple might be able to get into the top 4 here, but it's Kupo versus Poison right now, I believe. Kupo gets the tier 2 Tom Kench. We already know that Tom Kench has an Edge of Night on it, but it looks like Kupo has upgraded that comp just a little bit. We're looking at Purple Pouring right now, which was the other Innovator comp. I think Purple Pouring is at least 4 out of 5 Innovators, maybe even 5 out of 5 did. This version has a Senna instead of the rest. So it's going to do a lot of damage with the Seraphine, but it's actually going to be Orianna carry for this particular comp, which was great against the Jhin, and a good Zephyr as well. Yeah,
it's going to be great against the Jhin. Let's see where it ulties this time, but it won't be able to CC the Kaisa. She does have a Quicksilver, hits the whole clump though, and does a ton of damage. So the Kaisa might not have enough time to deal all this damage. She needs to get another ulti off. but does not.
Wow. I think this is
Orianna.
Purple's game.
It might be. Kupo goes down in 4th. Poison Ender loses. Still Banana, however, 60 HP on a win streak. It's going to be a bit rough.
Will the Bears be able to get through? I can't believe that's the first time I've made that joke. It's literally been in the set since the last set. But yeah, the Bears now in the front line. We've got a dragon, with an edge of 9th. That actually might be good for someone like the Orianna in the back line, just to give them another opportunity. Because what's better than one Orianna ult? 2 of them.
Exactly.
We've got a lot of damage on it too, and she's got a pretty good attack rate as well, especially with the clockwork. So even just a little damage from the sword might be enough. This innovator comp needs to be able to get to the victor on the other board here, and that's going to be how we win this lobby.
Natural's a Seraphine 2. Her items are probably some of the worst that you can get here, unless you're trying to dodge like Blitzcrank hooks. But
items being a little bit of a nuisance today for our players.
Yep. You have a Silco that could go in over the Senna, dropping to 1 Socialite, dropping the Enchanter. I don't want to drop Enchanter versus, I suppose, Victor damage, however. Vegemite just goes on to the Jace instead.
Oh, I like the spread. Renata's not going to be taking at least the whole team.
Yep.
To the
Just
poison
most of
gates. Just most of it. The reservation was a little early for the right side. But now we're starting to push that damage into the front line, but is it enough? It's going to be Seraphine and Orianna having to decide.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. And that's
Wow.
the Victor ult, and that's why Poison can still win those rounds. Unfortunately, the damage was already done.
Yeah, that was a super, super close fight. Actually could go either way. And Vi is such a good unit.
It's like Ryu and Ken going up against each other there. I cannot wait for Project L, by the way. Poison Ender, Purple Pouring, and Banana Pajama all in the same spot they were last time around. Eventually, one of these 2 players on fire will end up losing. I think the next round should be against each other. There is a TK2 on the board, but Purple Pouring has an Innovator comp without Twitch and Jin.
Oh, wow.
So it's not something that we see every day. And this is the Silco, Victor, Renata, dominating comp that we've seen. This needs to be looked at for sure going into the next patch, in my opinion.
That was a rough decision to make, selling the Victor to replace the Zephyr. It's not going to get that much value here either. So, I mean, hindsight probably would have been better to keep the pair of Victors. But you don't have a lot of gold, and this Victor is going to be able to get an ulti off. Does a lot of damage. The Renata, though, is the main focus of this board for Banana. She gets to keep herself alive, everybody else alive as well. The Vi with Double Titan's Declaw, actually fantastic. She's only tier 1. She did 4k damage and tanked so much there. Poison Ender and Purple Pouring both lose their respective rounds. Banana could lock this one up here.
I wouldn't... Man, the top 4 is going to be absolutely insane after this game, because there literally, I think, could be anybody based on the way that this lobby ended. You had Kupo, who had the best start by far, finishing in 4th, right? Purple, who had the 12-point advantage entering this lobby in 3rd, right? So if we win, Purple Pouring also might be able to get into that top 3, maybe even top 2, if we didn't have that dud of a game in game 1.
Exactly. Poison Ender on 1 life remaining, but they are going up against a clone of one of these armies. Purple Pouring versus Banana here. That Orianna in the back. How much damage is she going to get to do? Can she get her next ultimate off? Oh, she does not, actually. She falls as the ball was going out towards the clump there. Banana knows that they win this fight, looking to see Ender die. Purple Pouring takes a hit. This next round, Boop, could be the last, but we do have a carousel. What can Purple pick up here?
Innovator Spat would be nice. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the dragon. It's just going to be the Bears potentially getting that 2nd place.
Zephyr.
Moving past the
Silco
Zephyr
too.
For the ZZ Rot Silco. And this is how I ended up with an Assassin Silco, folks. In this exact same way.
Oh, man. It is the game 5 Lucky Lantern Dango that helps Banana Pajama clutch out the victory. There is power in Little Legends.
Yeah, Purple Pouring actually on their Twitter has like a whole Dango thing on it. So these
Oh,
are,
really?
yeah, these are Dango people,
Dango
Dango stands, if
people.
you will. Uh, that sounds offensive for some reason. It's not. It's a little legend. Anyway, we got the Bears versus we got the Dangos with the Bears and Devise. They're in the front line. Dragon's Claw, I love in this particular comp. It should be able to survive both AP ults, as this might be the last round, Khroen.
It very well might be if Banana can clutch it out. There's a lot of damage coming through. The Vi being upgraded, and wow, that damage. The whole back line drops at the same time. Not even Silco can grief that round. It was over way too quick. Banana in Pajama gets a first place, gets 20 points, bringing them up to 43. It might not be enough to win the week, but it might have been enough to secure another top 4 placement, and maybe, dare I say, dodging the 3-week curse and getting a 4th week.
So this is super intriguing because there was a possibility that no one from last week actually advanced to next week, as we do have the scores ready.
So quick. I wasn't even ready, but here we go.
Yeah, so many people better at math than us. It's going to be Kupo taking the win. Poison Ender, QV, and Banana. Thanks to the last game and beating Purple Pouring in that game by 1 spot is going to bring us the dub here. Not the dub, our 4th place, even with a last place finish in game 3.
Man, I mean, 60 HP is kind of a mountain to get through Purple Pouring. Still did a fantastic job. Improved throughout the whole day. Did have a bit of a slip up there in game 4, as well as, you know, game 1. Top forward the rest. But man, what a day here, Boop. We saw a lot of good competition, a lot of similar things, especially with the Victor, the Renata, the Silco, right? That seems to be very strong. You mentioned might need to be visited in terms of some patch notes here soon. I would agree. I would definitely agree. But we still got to see, you know, players pilot it super, super well, though. How did they get there? How did they finish with it? Do you high roll it in the early game, or do you pivot, right? And what's your pivot points? I saw a lot of great action there.
Yeah, I think Purple might need to hit up the 1997 Coleslaw champion, Esports Slaw, to see how we can do it. Because I believe Bryce didn't make it his first time, but did make it his second time when he came into Fight
I think so, yeah.
I think he 5th and then like 4th, 3rd, and then dropped. But, you know, at least you got someone who's been in it. I would love to see like a duo tournament of like lawyers versus doctors or something, because TFT for some reason attracts all of them. There's a lot of smart people here. We could do like poker players versus lawyers. That would be great.
Yeah, exactly.
We have enough. Let's make it happen. But Kupo made it happen today with that dub. Wins 2 lobbies, one being a double-pointed lobby at the end. A 4th place was enough there. I think we actually dropped the ball a little bit on that 4th place based on our start, but we were able to accomplish what we were able to accomplish anyway, and a win's a win, right? And that just means we have ways to be better and to be cleaner going into next week.
Exactly. Always looking for how to improve from week to week. We saw that, I think, out of the Fight Night Legend or Fight Night Rising kind of greats, being Ganmei, Numano, the two that really pop up to my mind. They got better. It seems like every single week, even though they started off very, very strong. I think Upo had a fantastic performance this week, as well as, you know, players who top forward that we kind of expected, or at least were very interested in. Again, QB Knight and Banana Pajama, but Poison Ender also, right? Like, they played super, super well in the first few lobbies. We didn't quite get to see all of how that happened, because I think we actually watched the opposite lobby every time they ended up winning. So a little bit of mystery there, perhaps, but maybe we'll get to see more perspective next week, because I'm really curious as to, you know, what trends they found and how that was able to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually pretty surprised that there was there was diversity, but everything ended up being Silco Renata by the end of the day, right? It seemed like you could just kind of splash those two in, put your other high mana cost champ and the other Hex for Silco, and let it go. I mean, there were Renatas, I think, on every single 1st or 2nd place board throughout the entire day today. So is it Silco? Is it Renata? Maybe it's both, but once those two get nerfed, that's when the Ahri ends up coming back up, right? We saw Ahri get the top 4, but right now being a little outclassed by the Victor Silco Renata combination.
Just slightly, just a teeny bit. But hey, that's okay. That happens. I'm still kind of waiting for what reroll comps emerge to be, you know, at the top tier. There was the rumblings of, hey, maybe an Ash, but there was the only one we really see is going to be the Twitch that happened a couple of times, but I believe we do have the interview ready. So Kupo, congratulations on your victory at Fight Night Rising. How are you feeling?
Them. I love seeing my fellow Latin American players playing them, and being able to win the first time I participate is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, talk about being nervous. I mean, what was your prep? I guess like into this event. It is a new set. Did that make you nervous at all? Like, how comfortable were you coming through, and kind of what did you expect for yourself when you went into this event?
No, definitely. I mean, I'm especially nervous since it's a new set. I haven't had as much time to play with it as my fellow teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I was just expecting to bot a lot of the games. But hey, we found something. We could say it clicked, and here we are.
Yeah, before I pass over to Boop, what clicked? Like, what trends were you finding yourself running? How did you, what do you think of kind of like the meta of this set, and kind of what worked for you? What exactly clicked?
I mean, I think I see Clave in the chat just saying Shiv on. No, yeah, I played a lot of Hex Tech, so just static Shiv is really strong early game. So playing that into Sivir, or if you really high roll it, playing that into a late game comp, really worked for me. Aside from that, I think the meta is really good in the late game, like just using legendaries.
Right.
Cool. So, you know, you mentioned that you and your Latin American friends from the region kind of crushed it today. 3 out of the top 4, I believe, Latin America representing. So what do you kind of want to say in terms of the region? I think traditionally in esports, we talk a lot about Korea, we talk a lot about NA, but Latin America, SA, for example, you know, has always been passionate. It's just super cool to see the representation. What's your take on the Latin American TFT community and what we should know about it?
I think we have a lot of potential. I feel like a lot of us like practice a lot. We have a lot of passion for the game, and there's a lot of high-level players here. I'd say the only critique that I kind of have for the Latin American community is because our server is a bit smaller. A lot of the really good players kind of server hop and play in the US or NA. So we actually have a lot of these players playing like in games with Soju, with top level streamers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so, man, I could actually ask you like 18 questions about that, but
Yeah,
that's for
right.
another time. As we move into you, right? It's so interesting because literally, I feel like 80% of the time, the person who wins is like, I actually didn't prep that much coming into fight night. But in terms of what your prep is, do you think there is over prepping that you can do? Do you actually think that maybe coming in with a little bit of a fresher mind for the set might have actually helped you today?
I could say it might, because especially in a new set, since you don't know a lot of the transitions, it's really easy to get dizzy, which is actually what happened in my last game there, right? I just went out of like 4 games of playing Hextech, and I got thrown a Tomken super early. I got thrown a lot of really good epics, and I didn't really know what to do with them because I'm not that familiar with it yet, right? So...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of a, guess I'm doing it. That might help, right? But also there's always the other side, right? Yeah, and that's it for me. Congratulations again, by the way. Great play.
Thank you, Boop. Yeah. And thank you guys for the invite. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, and if you have any last second shout outs that you want to give before we, we get you out of here, the floor is yours.
Yeah, if I could shout out myself. I have a YouTube channel for Spanish guides. So aside from that, I'd like to give a shout out to my esports team. Aurelius Esports, which we had 2 of the players in, Clave and Poison. They really helped me prep a lot, the entire org in general. And shout outs to Olivia Esports, B-Wall, and all the other Latin American esports. I feel like we're a really good community. And thank you everyone for preparing me.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it.
Love it as well. Congratulations. And we will see you next week, Kupo.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, Boop. There we have
Great
it.
interview.
Great interview. I love it.
Great interview. Yeah, absolutely fantastic interview. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, just really enjoyed that one.
Coming in here, be like, oh yeah, I was really nervous, but you know, LATAM doing really good and not a lot of prep, but still, you know, playing super well. Boop. We do always hear that, don't we? They're like, oh, I didn't have as much prep as I think I should have had, but it just kind of clicked and I ran with it.
I'm going to keep track from this point on because it's a little bit, it's like the fourth lobby curse, right? At this point, there might be some truth to it. But what I also wanted to mention is, one, don't ever be afraid to advertise yourself in these situations. Love the fact that he shouted out himself and then didn't tell us
that's what this is for.
So if he didn't tell us where to find his stream or anything like that. So if you also want to follow their Twitches and stuff like that, if you hover over the screen on PC, you're going to be seeing all of our Twitches, including Khroen and I's, and you can go ahead and follow us there. But also, I just wanted to say this set I think is shaping up to be pretty interesting. I think in terms of positioning, this is probably one of the most impactful sets for the third row in general of TFT. But overall, I'm excited to see because there's movement on every board now. The 5 cost units aren't quite where, I think they were, and we're still in that discovery process. So next week we might be seeing a ton of Ash reroll. You never know.
Maybe. I'm getting to see some more, LatAm representation. Shout out LatAm, of course, doing phenomenally.
They do well
TFT.
at Fight Night.
Yeah, doing
I don't know if you've ever do
well a lot over the course of just TFT Esports in general, I think, as well. Even go back to like Set 3 Worlds, in fact, as well, having a top 4 finish there. Just, always some good stuff. But yeah, that will be it for this week. Crowned a champion of Kupo. See if they're able to defend it in the next week's competition. But until then, we'll be getting out of here. Have a great week. Good luck in your TFT climbs. New set, always a fantastic and exciting time. But we will see you for next week with more Fight Night Rising. Take care.